Down the upstate, ladies and gentlemen. So glad to have you here with us. I am, of course, Rob Brown, back in the network studio. The man shaking his webcam as if it owes him money for some reason. And more importantly, A, joining the Backwards Baseball Hat Club. B, sitting in a very weird spot today, as I imagine that means that our little Drew has grown his wings. He is fully fledged, has leaped out of the metaphorical nest to fly on his own today. Means Zoe's sitting in the co-host chair today officially. No buttons, no switches. How are you going to handle this, Lonzo?
I still have to turn my mic on and off. So there's still a button, and I still have to adjust to being over here. And I keep knocking the camera off, which is awesome. But, other than that, let us hope, let us believe. I believe that Drew's going to do a great job today so that I can go on vacation next week.
That's why you got the new guy in there. You're like, I want some time off. I need somebody to handle my job so I can go play golf, sit on the beach, drink a bunch of rum, and you got Drew in the fix for just that.
So you're talking about you. You're not talking about
right.
me.
That's my vacation. That's right.
Yeah. My vacation usually, well, I tell you what, I'm going to get a haircut. I'm going to get some new shoes, and I'm going to get an oil change. That's what I'm doing on my vacation. Ladies and gentlemen,
nobody knows how to throw a vacation party like the great one, Lonzo.
It's exciting.
Nobody.
It is definitely exciting.
5 days off, and what does he like to do? New pair of shoes, haircut, oil change. I got to tell you, though, I'm worried that with all that excitement mixed in on your time off, you might not make it back next Monday. You might just decide, hey, what if I take another week off and I do a little grocery shopping? Maybe I go outside, cut the grass on a day off. I mean, I got to tell you, though, you're just packing all that excitement into 5 days. I don't know how you're going to handle it, pal.
Well, the lawn does need mowed, believe it or not. And there will be the annual photo. If you follow me on social media, Lonzo and Word, by the way, on either one, you will find the annual hammock photo of me and a stack full of comic books, which I already have waiting for. I didn't mention that, but yeah, that's definitely in there. Although it looks like I scheduled my vacation during a week where it's supposedly going to rain every single stinking day. So there's that.
Hashtag nailed it. Busy day on the show. By the way, are you allowing Drew to open the mic and say hello today? Or is he banned from microphone usage until he proves himself?
He is. I will allow it. Yes.
I will allow it. Drew, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you.
As long as the great one Lonzo says you can talk, it's all right with me. What's up, pal?
Hey, as soon as he gives me the green light, I am definitely taking over this microphone. So I'm setting this up here, adjusting my levels. This is a blast. So thank you for having me.
I love it. And I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to throw a bunch of stuff at you today just to see how you handle it, but I'm not saying that.
Right.
So prepare yourself is all I'm saying.
Yep.
All right, big day lined up on the show today. We got to get a little NBA talk in here. Your NBA MVP race has heated up, and the odds have gone topsy-turvy. Plus, Russell Wilson yesterday evening, a very, very interesting set of circumstances coming out of Vegas surrounding Russell Wilson. I want to talk about that here in just a few moments. Plus, coming up at 2:20 today, it is our weekly combat sports segment. Lonzo hosts Fight Club, where we cover all things MMA, WWE, NXT, AEW, and more. That is coming up at 2:20, so make sure you stay tuned and ready for that and a whole heck of a lot more. Before we get to any of those topics, though, let's get to our top three, Drew, by doing this little number.
Let's do lunch.
This is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented.
You guys are here.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here? Lunch.
It is time for the lunch breakdown. The three things that you have to know before you go start talking sports on your lunch break with your friends, family, coworkers, or the dog, whoever you spend your lunch break with this beautiful Thursday afternoon. We jump straight into it and begin with item number one. We've been watching this story play out all week long. There is a lot of ugly wrapped up in it, and that continued yesterday when Kansas athletic director Jeff Long was released by the university, broken by ESPN just days after Kansas ousted football coach Les Miles amidst allegations of inappropriate behavior toward female students while he was the head coach at LSU. The university announced that Jeff Long was stepping down as the AD. Long was responsible for the hiring of Miles as Kansas's coach back in 2018. The two have had a long-standing relationship going all the way back to their days together at Michigan in the late 80s and early 90s. In a statement, Long said he and Kansas Chancellor Dr. Douglas Girard met on Tuesday night and agreed that it was in the best interest of the KU student-athletes and the program that Long stepped down as athletic director. He said he leaves Kansas with, quote, profound confidence that have always acted in the best interest of Kansas athletics. That came just hours after another statement where Long said that he did indeed do a thorough vetting of Les Miles and found nothing that led him to believe that this would not ultimately end up being a successful hire. The 67-year-old Les Miles, 3-18 in 2 seasons at Kansas, including an 0-9 record in 2020. Only one conference win during Miles' 2 season in Lawrence. Came over Texas Tech in 2019. Kansas has won more than 3 games in a season since all the way back in 2009. This story, Lonzo, just keeps getting uglier and uglier. All of the allegations against Les Miles, and there have been no shortage of them. There have been not one but 2 separate investigations into what happened. We know that at one point, Joe Oliva, the AD at LSU, had reached out to the president of LSU about firing Les Miles and moving on because of said allegations. We know that Les Miles is guilty of, if nothing else, insubordination after being told to stop contacting female student employees, and he continued to do so, all the way down to having some of them come over and babysit his children, putting him in a position to be alone one-on-one with these students. The situation is ugly. I asked the question, Lonzo, how was it that Kansas could have hired Les Miles without any of this coming onto their radar and pulling the trigger? Jeff Long is the one that had to answer that question. He so far has failed to do so, and now he has been terminated along with Les Miles. Not a big shock to me, if we're being honest.
This really comes down to, is this his fault? I mean, it is. I know what you're saying about the vetting, but if LSU hid this so well that we're just now finding out about it, how is this guy's fault? I mean, I get that he got fired because of this. I get it, but I don't necessarily believe that that if LSU can hide this from all the media and keep it quiet for as many years as they did, how was he supposed to find it?
I think this is one of those things that you have to say.
Guilty by association.
No,
really.
I think it's more along the lines of, you are the AD. You are supposed to protect us from all of this. It wasn't like there was a small batch of issues that took place at LSU. There were clearly a lot of issues.
So this happened on his watch, and that's why he's
Again, if you are Lonzo, let me ask you this question: If Rob Brown was found out to have been, and I am not, as you can clearly see by my outfit, at all a badass of any type, all right. But if you found out, if it came out down the road that Rob had a mile-long rap sheet where he was running drugs and hooking out women, etc., and then I got hired here and brought all of that to the upstate for this banner, and then it came out a year after that happened that there was all of this evidence, and Rob Brown had done a really good job of sweeping it all under the rug and getting it out of the public eye, but it fell back. Somebody in this building would have to answer for bringing in a guy of my character, which again, I'm not that cool, into the building. Somebody would ultimately have to answer for it. It's not that I'm saying that this is fair or not fair. I'm saying that in a situation like this, in the public eye of an athletic department for a major university, somebody has to answer. And Jeff Long happens to be that guy in this case.
I do get your point. And again, I do understand why he's let go, because it happened under his watch. He should have known about these things, but I still bring up the point, the fact that LSU was able to keep it hidden, so was he supposed to hire an investigator to go, a private eye to go look into the past of Les Miles, when Les Miles was, to all of us, seemed like a good guy, didn't he? He was weird for eating the grass, but he seemed like a good guy. The image was out there of Les Miles, so why would you question it? If he had nothing in his past where you would think that, something like this was a part of it, why would you question it?
It's not an unfair question. It's not an unfair question. And we're going to circle back around to that coming up a little later in the show. Item number 2 here on the Lunch Breakdown. Breaking news this morning out of the ACC and college basketball. The Duke Blue Devils were maybe the hottest team in college basketball entering the conference tournaments. They, after wins in round 1 and round 2, were slated to take on the number 2 seeded Seminoles of Florida State tonight in the Athletic Coast Conference. That game is off. Duke out of the ACC tournament after a positive COVID test within the program. The Blue Devils were slated to play around 6:30 tonight. The 13 and 11 squad could still receive an at-large bid into the NCAA tournament, but athletic director Kevin White said in a statement that Thursday's announcement will, quote, end our 2020-2021 season. The statement from the ACC said the cancellation, quote, follows a positive test, subsequent quarantining, and contact tracing within the Duke's men's basketball program. The team is adhering to the outline protocols within the ACC Medical Advisory Group report. And, quote, Duke coach Mike Krzyzewski said as part of a statement released by the school, quote, I feel deeply for our players who have done a terrific job all season in taking care of each other and the team. I am extremely proud of their collective attitudes and effort, which could not have been stronger. We are disappointed. We cannot keep fighting together as a group after 2 outstanding days in Greensboro. This season was a challenge for every team across the country. And as we have seen over and over, this global pandemic is very cruel and is not yet over. As many safeguards as we implemented, no one is immune to this terrible virus. Mike Krzyzewski went on to say that he believes that Duke should already be in the tournament. Here is what Mike Krzyzewski said in a statement.
Every team has a chance, and that's not happening. It's the most fair tournament. It's the most fair tournament. And so right now we're in the tournament. We have to keep winning in order to advance to next week. But, when you're in your conference tournament, you are in the NCAA tournament. You're just maybe not one of those 68 teams right now. And you have to look at it that way. But it's the fairest championship by far.
So that's Mike Krzyzewski. That was actually before the game yesterday and before the Duke Blue Devils found out that they were out, saying that he's already in the tournament by way of the ACC. And that kind of puts the weight on what this means. But, look, I know a lot of people like to take the mick out of the Duke Blue Devils, like to kind of crack and clown on them a little bit, Lonzo. But the fact that this team was playing as well as this team was playing, the fact that this team had gotten really hot headed into the tournament, back-to-back outstanding dubs to lead up to a chance to knock off a top 15 ranked Florida State team that had struggled down the stretch. They lost to Carolina. They lost to Notre Dame. They did not look good in a couple of dubs. If Duke knocks off FSU there, I think one more good win they're in. We can all clown on Duke all we want, but Zoe, I hate this for those kids on that Blue Devils program.
Even if you are one of those people who only pay attention to college basketball around this time of year, the one thing that you consider a definite, without a doubt, is that Duke is going to be in the tournament. Duke, North Carolina, a couple of teams like that, they're always in. So this is such a shocker that this has happened. But, it's out there. If you have a positive, your team is out of tournaments, including the NCAA tournament. So we could see this rear its head again as all those teams get there to do the NCAA tournament, and it's something we're going to have to deal with. We're going to have to deal with buys. We're going to have to deal with possibly the best team, whoever that may be, number 1 seeds, number 2 seeds, in whatever, being out because of COVID.
We'll circle back around to that one coming up in a minute, but I want to make sure we have time for this item number 3 on the lunch breakdown. Perhaps the discussion about the Panthers drafting a quarterback was premature after all, or is it posturing? Matt Rule yesterday in a press conference was asked about the status of Teddy Bridgewater within the game. Here is what Matt Rule had to say about where Teddy BH2O stands within that Panthers program today.
As far as where he stands with us, I mean, he's our quarterback, and nothing's changed since the end of the offseason. It's really not much to add from where we started, at the end of the year. We're going to continue to try to improve the roster at every position through free agency, through the draft, and also through development. We expect players to, play better this year than they played last year. We expect coaches to coach better this year than they did last year, and that's at every position. So Teddy's, like I said, he's a true professional. He didn't unfollow me. I think he's just at a I wouldn't read too much into anything. I think, he's in a moment right now where he's just kind of controlling what he can control, focusing on himself, focusing on his family. And I know when he gets back here, he'll be ready to go.
But that was not all that Matt Rule had to say. So he opens up by saying Teddy Bridgewater is still the starting quarterback. He's in good standing. He still follows me on Instagram, so he's in good shape. So then Matt Rule was asked, what about the rumors going around that you're in the market for another quarterback?
I'll say this first. I'd say that, this is the time of year where there's lots of rumors and speculation, and not all of it's true. I'm out in the community. People say things to me, ask me questions. I heard this team called you. I heard. And not all of it's true. Some of it about it can be true, but sometimes it's not true. So, Teddy's a tremendous professional, and Teddy's a tremendous person. And so, I can't speak for him. I think he's controlling what he can control, and he's having a great off season. I'm sure. I can't wait to get him back here, and I think he's determined to play his best football next year.
So Matt Rule, dadgum, sure, Lonzo makes it sound like Teddy Bridgewater is still the starting quarterback, makes it sound like the Panthers are not being connected to any other teams right now. And I have to say, respectfully, Zoe, to Matt Rule, I don't believe you at all. At all.
Well, just like in any profession, you are the guy till you're not the guy. I mean, you are the show host until you're not the show host. I am the producer until I'm not the producer. He is the quarterback until he's not the quarterback. You are the plumber until you're not the plumber. I'm always going to work that in somehow. What's he supposed to say? That we're looking for another quarterback? They've got to have a starting quarterback. So until they decide to pull the trigger in the draft or in free agency, you got to make sure that you have that guy. And he's still the guy until he's replaced. But that's the kind of sport that is. You're the guy until you're replaced. Very few people in football can say that there's no way they can replace me. There's only a handful of those guys.
That is correct. That is absolutely correct. And I agree with everything you just said. But I kind of want to know my team is actually moving towards getting better. That's it. That's it. And more importantly, if you're a player and you hear Matt Rule out there saying, yeah, we're not looking at he's our guy, he's our starter, we're not moving on, he's having a great off season, we've been in touch with each other, et cetera.
No, he said he's having a good off season, I'm sure.
Yeah, as in he has not been talking to him.
So he doesn't know.
Correct. I noticed that as well. Look, I just want to hear my team's getting better. And unless you're committing to another rebuilding year behind Teddy Bridgewater, I need a QB. That's all it comes down to. We'll bring this back up coming up in a few minutes. My name is Rob Brown. Lonzo, back at the helm. Quick break. Get back on the clock. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show right here on ESPN Upstate.
You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
You know what time it is? It is time for you to take that step and lose that weight.
I think we're back. Check 1, 2. Yep, there we go. Yeah, I had to cut the audio food because those in the middle of his live read right there. That's why you see him talking to himself, but we can't hear him. Those of y'all in the stream, appreciate you joining us today. Those of you watching in the future on a watch back, hello. Do us a favor, drop your comments in, and even if you comment on an old stream, I will go back through and look at those and bring your questions up and try to answer them. While you're watching the stream, you can comment on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you're watching it, and it will drop your comments right here on our little screen that we have going here. I'll even go behind the scenes with you. I'll show you what I look at when we're doing the show. If I can figure it out. There we go. So that's what my screen looks like. So obviously this is whatever's going out. And over here, you see my man Brian has just commented here. So whenever you guys comment on any of those threads, the comments populate over in this area over here so we can actually see them and read them on the air. So this is a screen that I'm looking at when we're actually doing the stream, which is pretty rad. Go Knowles. So who replaces Duke? Well, if you're talking about in the ACC tournament, Brian, appreciate that comment, man. Great to see you in here and hanging out with us today. Nobody does. Florida State gets a bye, which they will be the only team with 3 byes, bye all the way to the semifinal of the ACC tournament this year, which is great news to me because FSU is a team that I think needed a couple of days to get their head right if they are going to be an ACC championship squad. Remember, they're going to have to square off against Virginia, more than likely Virginia, out of the top half of the bracket. Later on, we're going to talk about Clemson. What an absolute meltdown from the Clemson Tigers yesterday against Miami. But it wasn't a huge shock to me. If you were following along with Twitter, I said yesterday before everything started that I really thought Miami was a team that had finally gotten healthy. Miami was a team that had a lot of injury issues all season long. They were over those. And my question was, will Brad Brownell's team be mentally tough enough to finish the game against the Hurricanes? And they weren't. That's been the biggest crack on Brad Brownell that I have heard since I started following Clemson basketball. And once again, it came to fruition. So I don't know if you got to pay attention to any of that Clemson-Miami game, but there were questions about Brad Brownell's ability to have his team mentally ready in pressure cooker situations, and they absolutely were not yesterday. So we're going to talk a little Clemson ball later up. We'll talk about Duke and what that means to their tournament chances and all the rest of it, because it was bad. It was bad. But Duke is probably, I don't know, man, whether Duke gets in or not. We're going to talk about this when we come back on air here in just a minute. I don't know if Duke gets into the tournament or not. On one hand, I would say they have not earned it with their regular season play. On the other hand, you and I both know that the selection committee wants the Duke Blue Devils in there. They were hot coming into this tournament. They won 2 consecutive ACC tournament games before they get bounced because of the Rona, right? I mean, this is it's a weird scenario. Let's see. Brian says, I don't think they will get in. I don't either. But then again, like we mentioned, the selection committee loves them some Duke Blue Devils in the tournament, and there is some drama built in that comes along with that. Maybe you pop them in there as a 13, 14 seed. Maybe you make them go up against some of the big dogs early and prove themselves. I don't know. Tracy says, I probably missed y'all talking about it, but Coming to America 2 was better than the first one. Was it really? I actually haven't seen it yet. Mainly because I want to go back and rewatch Coming to America. I don't think I've seen Coming to America in probably 15 years.
By the way, I've heard it's worse. So I think it depends on both of us need to watch and find out for ourselves, I suppose.
20 seconds out.
I think it's subjective based on generation, right? Like if you were in your prime when the first one came out, that one holds more memories to you and you're going to connect with it. If you weren't around when the first one came out, you're probably going to like the second one better. We'll have to talk about it.
Brown Lockdown on Twitter. Tweet at The Rob Brown Show on the Upstate Sports Leader, ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Hello and welcome. Good to be with you. I am Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, back in the studio. My man Drew is at the board today running the show for us. He'll be filling in for Lonzo next week while he does exciting vacation things like haircuts, shoe shopping, and oil changes. Let's talk a little bit about what's going to happen out of the ACC now that we know that Duke is out of the dance. Duke is out of the dance for the ACC crown because of a positive coronavirus test. So the question becomes, will the committee put them into the big dance? Will the committee put them into March Madness? Will the committee put them into the big tournament? The answer is, Lonzo, and this is not what I'm supposed to say as a talk radio show host, I don't know. They probably haven't done enough regular season-wise to say that they deserve a shot. Not a great record, just a couple of games over 500. In an ACC, that was certainly a good conference this year, but I don't think a great one, or at least not an elite level one. But at the same time, we know the selection committee loves them some Duke Blue Devils, right? They want Duke in every year because they're a team that you either love to love or you love to hate, and there's some drama, and especially this year. Yeah, their record wasn't great, but they were getting really hot down the stretch. They were arguably the hottest team coming into the ACC tournament, and you might have some folks who go, well, wait a minute. We think if they didn't get COVID hammered, that they would have beat FSU, made it to the ACC semis. I got to tell you, the only other team down there that maybe gives them rum is Vatech, and I might have taken Duke over Vatech if the momentum continued. You can't put people in, Zoe, based on what they might have done if they got to play. But I think because this was COVID and not the loss of a star or suspension because of improper behavior or anything, there's a small chance that the Duke Blue Devils might get the nod as a very low seed from the selection committee in order to go dance in March because it was a Rona that knocked him out and not another mid-tier ACC squad.
All I would say is don't be surprised. There are a lot of bubble watches out there right now, and they are not, in those teams that are on the bubble to get in. Suddenly, they're going to appear in that, and it would not shock me if, to save face a little bit by not just, they could just put them in. They'll put them in a play-in game. They'll put them in a play-in game, and then they'll play some scrub team that had no chance of getting in anyway and was going to lose in the first round, and then suddenly Duke's in, and that's how they get them in, and that's how they save face. And one of the traditional national powers in college basketball had to come from the outside to get back in, and look what an amazing story Duke is in the tournament.
Yeah, again, there is some level of drama that looks to be created. That's why we see a lot of the regional matchups that we see set up certain ways within the March bracket. Duke is a team that draws eyes, right? We talk about this in sports all the time. sometimes selections are made in just about every sport based on what teams are going to pump up the TV numbers. Just bump up the TV numbers. And Duke is one of those teams. You don't have to like them, but just the fact that people tune in just to see them lose. And this year, they look on the surface as if they are a team that could get bounced early, even though they were hot coming into the tournament. Because on top of, look, you're coming in hot to the ACC tournament. You knock off 2 teams on your way to the ACC quarterfinals. You line up against an FSU squad that, again, has gone ice cold down the stretch, despite being one of the best teams, if not the best regular season team in the ACC. If they win that game and carry momentum into March, I think they're in, no doubt about it. But because they carried all the momentum, a lot of the teams in the ACC had kind of stalled out a little bit heading into the tournament. I got to think there's some folks on the selection committee that might go, what is March if not for the Duke Blue Devils, even if it's just to watch them get bounced in the first round and people can celebrate Mike Krzyzewski getting tossed out early. So I got to think, with it being the Rona and nothing else that costs Duke time, you might have a point. They get in as one of those 12-seed playoff games, or they get tossed in there as an at-large, but in a 15-16 seed, and they got to open against a Zaga or a Baylor or an Alabama somewhere early.
Yeah, but that's not as pretty as the play-in game, because the build-up they can do. And generally, I'm guessing, but I don't know for sure. I don't have the numbers in front of me. The play-in games probably don't get that much of a rating. But if Duke is in the play-in game, those ratings will shoot up suddenly, and there will be a lot more interest, because I think the majority of people who only watch the tournament and nothing else, they believe that whoever wins those play-in games is going to lose anyway. But you put a name in there, and then suddenly you've got interest. You've got people watching that normally wouldn't be watching, and it's almost made for television.
Now, all of this may largely be irrelevant, because in the announcement that Duke was out of the ACC tournament, their athletic director, Kevin White, said in a statement that this will, quote, end our 2020-2021 season, end quote. All right, that's a statement straight out. That's a quote straight out of the statement. The cancellation will, quote, end our 2020-2021 season, end quote. If the Blue Devils have removed themselves from consideration, it would snap a 24 consecutive season streak of making the NCAA tournament. Most folks thought that they needed to win the ACC tournament in order to extend the streak that dates back to 1996. But reading over the statement that Duke sent out earlier this morning to announce the withdrawal, I'm reading through. It sounds to me, Zoe, like Duke has just surrendered and said, you know what, we're done. We're done. We're not going to make it. We don't even want to risk the drama. We're out. If Duke has removed themselves, they made the committee's job much easier.
I don't believe it. Do you believe it? Because I don't believe it. And that makes it even more. We had decided that the season was over, but the committee has given us another chance, so we're going to take it because we're Duke, we're basketball, and these kids deserve a chance to play.
You almost kind of wonder if this isn't you're not breaking up with me because I broke up with you moment, you know? Like if Duke says our season's over, we're done, we're going home, and then the committee does not put them in, Duke can go, oh, no. They did not put us in. We elected to remove ourselves, right? The old you can't fire me, I quit routine. But I wonder if Mike Krzyzewski gets that call on Sunday night that the selection committee has put the Blue Devils in, if he doesn't go, well, we didn't think that we earned a shot to be there, but if the selection committee feels it's appropriate for us to play into March, we'll go ahead and get the band back together and give this thing a shot.
And you know what? Me. That phone call will just happen to happen with the camera crew there. just the camera crew just happens to be there, You don't know why they're there, but the camera crew's there.
See, but I think this gives the committee an out, right? Because there might be some pressures on the committee to include Duke because they didn't get hot, because they were playing well in the ACC tournament, and because they are Duke. And if Duke has decided to end the season, yeah, man, fine. Now I don't have to deal with it, right? If the pretty girl finds out that the Rob Brown of the school was planning on asking her to prom, and she's sitting there trying to figure out how does she politely reject the loser from taking her to prom, and then one day the loser shows up and says, hey, listen, I'm not asking you to prom. I don't have any interest in asking you to prom. She's going to go, whew, what a relief. Now I don't have to make Rob feel dumb in front of the rest of his class. That I just kind of wonder if this is just the easiest way to get out of a lot of drama on Selection Sunday with people tuning in to see if Duke gets a low seed.
You know, that's a poor analogy because we all know that that girl asked you to the prom because that's how that works. And you turned her down because you were like, I got a gig to play. But
I can unequivocally tell you, Lonzo, that while I appreciate the flattery, that is just absolutely and entirely untrue.
And the sad part is, even after all these years, you still envision who that girl was.
100%.
And I don't blame you. I think this comes down to TV ratings. And as we've talked about how ratings are down for sports across the board, and the TV people are going to be like to everybody, we need Duke in here. We need every advantage we can get to get people to watch this, because we've seen that the Super Bowl was down and all these other, sporting events were down in viewership. Without Duke, that drops us even further. So I think they're the ones that put the pressure. The TV people put the pressure on the committee, and that's how they make it.
844-GSP-ESPN's the number, 844-477-3776. Text us at 71307, 71307. Start your text with ESPN so we can read them on the air. Tweet us at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo Onward, and at ESPN Upstate. And, of course, join us on our live stream. You can go to facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. Check in with us on Twitter at twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show. And go find us on YouTube at The Rob Brown Show on YouTube. The stream is up and live. You can participate, chat, send in your comments. We talked during the break about very ridiculous topics, as we're just about to, coming up in a minute. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio and your digital devices and ESPN Upstate.
You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your computer and tablet at
I've just found a video that I'm going to share with you all in the stream, Lonzo, because it's amazing to me. I don't know why I found this as compelling as I did. Let's get the screen share. Here we go. Dadgummit, where is it? Here it is. Yes, enjoy, ladies and gentlemen. This is just a minute and a half of mascots dominating Pee Wee football players. And I had everything I had in me not to crap up laughing during the segment when this came across my screen. Look at, what is that? Look at that. Lonzo.
That's good technique.
Is what that is. Disrespectful. Look at, just disrespectful. This one's good. Watch the stiff arm. And then another. Bounces that kid. Trucks that one. The Golden Gopher was no joke. That is the Colts Bronco coming over the top of the offensive line to absolutely smother, and then gives him a second shove into the ground. Watch, a second shove in his face. This is unbelievable.
Listen, just like when you're playing football in the backyard with your kids, you don't back off. They gotta learn. That's what life is like, man.
Oh, look at it. Did you see that? Mr. Red with the absolutely cover up, and then he gives them the John Cena.
Who would have thought that would be universal, you know?
Oh, the pick! The Cyclone with the pick down the left-hand side. Nobody's going to touch him. Oh, we got a flag on the play from behind. Oh, God. Y'all, the Indianapolis Colts straight up does not care about the feelings and emotions of small children. Watch this one. Boom. Oh, just taunting the kid. Did you see that stiff arm? That's a Heisman caliber stiff arm right there, Alonzo.
I completely agree. I don't know why he wasn't up for the Heisman when this happened. Why does this never happen around here? I want to see this in person.
Oh, the Easter Bunny running smack. Oh, no, not the little kid. No! That kid's like 4. What is that? Oh, that's a hate crime, Lonzo. What is this? That kid's 4 years old, and he's
not 4. You can't play till you're 6. Oh, come on.
This blind that kid is so tiny. The giant block of cheese is just shredding the defense. See what I did there, Alonzo?
Yes, I did. That kid learned a valuable life lesson. Sometimes you get run down by things that are bigger than you, but you get back up. That's what you do.
I would like to point out here that this is the best tackle I've seen out of a Minnesota Viking in years. Wow. Oh, no. Hey, the Denver Broncos got taken down. What? Pretty sure that's illegal. Not sure.
Depends on what state you're in.
Give me all of that. We may spend every break just looking up YouTube videos of mascots wailing on kids. That was great.
I think that shows a little bit of, I don't know.
Immaturity?
No, just pain. This just shows you've never had children.
Correct.
Yeah.
20 seconds.
But if my kid said, I want to go get into the mascot football game, I'd tap him on the helmet and say, good luck, son.
And I'd say, go for the knee. But, that's me.
Oh, if those kids ransacked the mascots, I'd watch that video too. Keegan says, I show up 45 minutes late.
Showing the Rob Brown Lockdown on Twitter. Tweet at The Rob Brown Show on the Upstate Sports Leader, ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Tweet, Coach K isn't the I quit, I didn't, or the Coach K isn't the I quit, I didn't get fired type. Come on, he's one of the most respectable coaches in sports. I don't disagree. But if you can protect your kids, right? Protect your kids. Zoe and I just spent the break watching, along with the folks on the screen on the stream, a video of mascots demolishing Little League football players. To which then Zoe said, "Rob, your sheer joy in watching these Little Leaguers get blown up by the Minnesota Viking shows me you haven't had kids yet," and that is correct. If your kids go out and get run roughshod over by an NFL mascot, I'm going to laugh at your kid. But you protect your kids, and I don't wonder if this isn't maybe Coach K protecting his program a little bit. Here's what I will say. I got irrationally angry this morning, Zoe, when I woke up, and the first thing I saw on Twitter after the announcement was made that Duke would not be playing FSU tonight was, Coach K's just afraid to play Florida State. No, he's not. No, he's not. That if you think this is Duke weaseling out of a game and using the Rona as an excuse, that is, Lonzo, for the lack of a better word, very, very dumb. Very dumb. Why would they be afraid to play FSU? FSU's gone ice cold. Duke has been flaming hot coming into this break. If you think that Duke is using one coronavirus case as a way to get out of a game against FSU, winning that game puts them one step closer to the tournament, Lonzo, I don't know how to tell you how ridiculous that thought is.
The sad part is you'd like to think that this is just, clickbait, just someone trolling, but there are people out there who actually think that way. Yeah. And chances are that person is one of those people.
Yeah. If you think that Duke has any reason at all to not want to play. Hell, if I was Duke, I'd be chomping at the bit to play FSU right now. Notre Dame, who, by the way, got beat by what? 50 yesterday by UNC? Notre Dame got dropped by 50 yesterday in the ACC tournament. They beat Florida State 5 days ago. UNC, who lost to Marquette and Syracuse coming into the tournament. Granted, they did beat Notre Dame by a 50 spot yesterday, but lost to Marquette and Syracuse coming into the tournament. They beat Florida State not too long ago, right? Like convincingly. If I'm Duke, I'd have been chomping at the bit to play FSU. The wheels have come off for the Noles. And I think, there were some people saying, Duke would have had to win the ACC tournament to get in. I don't think so. I think making it to the ACC finals would have gotten them in. And I think beating FSU and Vatech to get there was a realistic possibility. Duke is not using an excuse to get out of the FSU game. They have no reason to have done that, like at all. Quick break. We'll come back here in just a minute, wrap up the first hour of broadcasting. I'm Rob. Lonzo's at the helm. Actually, Drew's at the helm. Lonzo rocking the very good-looking all-black flat-back snapback back in the network studio in the co-host chair today on The Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. Let the game come to you. Listen no matter where you go. In Anderson, Clemson.
All right. Zoe prep next hour. We are going to get into our memories of this year or this day last year, which was the day the NBA shut down, and then kind of started the domino effect of everything else shutting down.
I'm good with that. I'm not good with that, but I am always prepared to go down memory lane and talk about when we were concerned if we would still be here at this time, and we're still here at this time. And I'm talking about job-wise, because it is hard to do your job talking about something that doesn't exist anymore, and soon after it didn't exist for a while, but we pulled it off because we are broadcast professionals. And we are not limited to only talking about one thing, which is what's so cool about this station. Also want to, Inside Baseball,
yep,
or not so much, coming up in just about, I don't have a clock. Where's the clock? There's a clock. Coming up in about 8 minutes rather, you got a chance to be entered in and win $1,000 with the ESPN Cash Stash. You just got to listen to the word that Rob will give you and then text that in. Right, Rob?
I can't find the word. I've got the email, but I don't have all the words.
All right. If you have the email, did you open up the PDF?
Oh, the only one I had was about it, and I did not get one with just the word. Let me check my regular email inbox again, make sure I didn't miss it. I couldn't have. Mark Hendricks. There's the announced copy.
All right, I've just forwarded you the latest. And when you get it, open up the PDF, go to this week, and then look for it will be the 1 p.m. word.
Got it.
Do you have it?
I'm opening the Excel spreadsheet as we speak.
I like how we're trying to be secretive about exactly what we're doing. I think we're doing a good job.
Do you know what the word is? Because it doesn't have dates or anything attached to it.
It does. If you go to week 1, if you look at the bottom, there'll be week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4.
Oh, look at that.
See, and this is confusing to everybody. You're not the only one having that problem.
11 March, 1 p.m. Got it.
You good?
Yep.
Okay.
And I'm going to read that word inside of a liner, right?
Yes, this was sent by our boss yesterday.
That was more of a, I know, and I'm just saying it to make sure that I'm correct.
Yes, you are correct.
Kevin McAllister from Home Alone versus the Predator. Oh, come on. I would accept more like
Here's the flaw in that question. The
It's
Predator
the
would not
Predator.
go after Kevin McAllister because his skull size is way too small.
True story. It's not true.
30 seconds.
Yeah, Alexander, if you were the one that brought Genie versus Thanos, that was a brilliant one. Even if Predator had a reason to go after Kevin McAllister, the Predator is not stepping on a Lego and losing his will to live after that.
Brown Show on the Upstate Sports Leader, ESPN Upstate.
At ESPN on the text line at ESPN, hashtag Fire Brad, LOL. I knew that was going to come. And coming up in the next segment, we're going to get into that absolute meltdown by the Clemson Tiger basketball team yesterday against Miami. I told you all I thought this ACC bracket was set up for Clay. Clemson couldn't have built that bracket out better if you let them design it themselves, and they absolutely melt down. And I got to tell you, I'm not one, Lonzo, that jumps on the fire the coach after one L thing. But if that hasn't been the way for Brad Brownell's troops in the postseason as a whole, I don't know what is. They melt down in the biggest game. They should have knocked off the Miami Hurricanes yesterday, and they just fell apart. And I have no excuse for it.
You know, just to paraphrase myself, because I can't directly quote, but this is what they do every year. And I believe I said that yesterday. And so there was no need to watch. And there was no surprise when I saw later on social media what had happened. And basketball doesn't matter at Clemson. If it did, they wouldn't settle for this every single year.
I hate it. I hate it. I do. I hate it because the team they put together this year is a good enough team to be a Sweet 16 team. Maybe a borderline Elite 8 team. And with a little luck and magic, maybe a Final Four team. I think it was good enough behind Alamir Doss. Trapp was knocking down threes yesterday. And that was the thing. And again, we're going to talk about this. But through the first, I want to say, first half and 4 or 5 minutes of the second half, this is the stat line that in fact, I said on Twitter, I think this is the problem for Clemson and why they could lose this game. Clemson was plus 18 from behind the three-point line. Plus 18. Miami was plus 18 in the paint. The score was tied 41-41 when that statement was true. Now, what was more likely to go away? Clemson having Alamir Dawes go 3 of 3 from behind the arc to start, and the Tigers shooting 8 of 11 to open up from the three-point line, or Miami not scoring paints in the point anymore. One of those teams was more likely to go away in the second half. The three-point shot went away for Clemson. The inside dominance did not go away for the Hurricanes. Ball game over. What did I say yesterday going into that game? Work the ball inside out. Own the paint. Keep Miami off the glass. What did Clemson do? Exactly the opposite. Outside in basketball, worked it from the three-point line. Heck, when I've got guys that are second and third team all ACC on the interior that are jacking up 3 threes in the first half and only have like 5 points inside, that's a problem. This team just fell apart. I'm going to talk more about that coming up in the opening frame of the next hour, At ESPN, I guess with the tournament being canceled this year, you had to wait to understand why Clemson fans don't pay attention to their team because they know they won't win even if they make the postseason. So, you can't change the success of your basketball program with fan attitude like that.
No, you can't, and it's not just about the fan attitude though. It's also about the people over top, the AD and the president, and they're okay with mediocrity, and the fans expect mediocrity. And the sad part is, I'd rather my team be really good or really bad, not just right on the edge, getting you to where you think, okay, this is the year. Oh man, oh well, at least we're used to it. And that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, you shouldn't be happy about how your Tigers played yesterday. You shouldn't be. You should be furious, honestly. Because you had the talent to win. You're a better team than Miami. Is it keyword time, Lonzo? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, it is.
Let's do a keyword, and let's give away some money on the ESPN Upstate Cash Stash. If the bumper's playing, I don't hear it.
Yeah, you're not going to because it's music. Go ahead.
Okay, there we go. It's time for the ESPN Upstate Cash Dash. Your chance to win $1,000, y'all. $1,000. Your keyword is key. Your keyword is key. You text in the word key, and you're going to have your chance to win $1,000 worth of cash. $1,000 worth of cash. I don't know what else I need to tell you. Text that keyword to 72881, 72881, the ESPN Upstate Cash Dash powered by BetQL. Let BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better. Download the BetQL app today. Text the keyword key to 72881 for your chance to win $1,000. Coming back for the second hour of the Rob Brown Show.
ESPN Upstate, WYRD Greenville, WORD Spartanburg, WFBC-FM HD3 Greenville, Radio.com sports station.
AutomotiveMap.com presents your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update powered by The Score. The starting lineup is set for the Instacart 500 at Phoenix Raceway coming up on Sunday. Brad Keselowski will start from the pole. Kyle Larson will join him in row 1. Row 2, Denny Hamlin and Christopher Bell. Row 3, Martin Truex Jr. and Chase Elliott. Kyle Busch and Ryan Blaney in row 4, Joey Logano and William Byron in row 5. They want to use the qualifying metric to set the order with no actual qualifying taking place. The schedule this weekend at Phoenix Raceway, you've got...
Yeah. All right, so at 59, we will play the sounder, but because the sounder involves music and we are streaming on YouTube, we can't play the music for you to hear it. So it is just music. So at 59, just jump in, read your script, and get out.
Okay. And if Drew, if you can tell me in utility, in my ear,
okay,
you got it running, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, I got you.
And we got
what we could do?
Text our regular text line with this because they're going to. Oh, they have.
Yeah, that's how that works. It works. However many years we've been doing it, it does that. I mean, because people just automatically, and I get it. It's muscle memory. So what we can do is the very beginning of that, before the actual music plays, it says money, like really quick. So he can play that part, having a utility where you can hear that.
Yeah.
And then cut it out.
That'll work.
Okay. All right. We'll do that.
Cool. Six seconds.
By the way, also, Rob, spell the word out after you say it.
Okay.
In case people didn't understand what you said.
Kilo Echo Yankee.
Yeah.
Sierra,
well, don't do
Hotel,
that.
India, Echo, Lima, Delta, Shield. Burn out.
I'm almost wearing the right shirt for that.
Burn out. Down out. Down out. Da 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 da. Was that a Roman shirt? Pensacola, Florida's own, y'all.
First break of the 1 o'clock hour is Prisma Health.
Warning.
And check this out.
Your unofficial Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
Our numero dos of the Rob Brown Show is on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Real quick, remind you that the free cash stash on ESPN Upstate, $1,000. Your chance to win $1,000 in the $1,000 cash stash on ESPN Upstate. Again, the keyword is key, K-E-Y, key, K-E-Y. And you are going to text that number to 72881. If you text it to our text line, we can't help you. We can't help you. All right. So text the keyword key, K-E-Y, to 72881. You have till the end of the hour to get that keyword texted in. And we are going to give you a keyword every hour through the rest of the workday, all the way up until 5 p.m. The $1,000 cash dash from ESPN Upstate. Text the keyword key, K-E-Y, to the number 72881 for your chance to win $1,000, powered by BetQL. Let BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better. Download the BetQL app today. Text and data rates may apply in this national contest. Again, this hour's keyword is key. It's the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate. You're going to want to make sure that you're paying attention to the top and bottom of every hour, because we will give you a fresh keyword, every hour, because we want one of y'all to win some money and then buy Lonzo a hot dog and me a beer, and we'll call it even. What do you say? All right? So there you go.
Dog.
I asked when I first got here, one of the first handful of shows that I did were introduce me to the Upstate, right? Introduce me to the Upstate. What's the best pizza? What's the best burgers? What's the best wings? What's the best? I did what's the best hot dog one day, Lonzo. I thought our text line was going to explode. Yeah, that's a
little touchy around here, because when I first moved here, like 23 years ago, 24 years, I don't know, you start losing track. I noticed that hot dogs were sold everywhere, and I had never seen that before. So then it's like, well, if they're sold everywhere, where do you start? Because if you start in the wrong place, then that will give you a bad thought about everywhere. So it was a hard choice, and there's some really good ones out there, and I'm sure that you've tried several of them.
I have, and there are plenty more to go. We did pizza, and we got a lot of texts, but there were like 2 or 3 that were, the consistent nominees. Did best burgers, got a ton. There were 2 or 3 that were the most consistent nominees. The only one that we got a list that had, I'm talking dozens of nominations, and all of them got multiple votes, was the hot dog. That was the one. The best hot dog was the number one conversation we've had on the show, with the exception of people calling in to tell me that if I eat anything other than Duke's Mayo, that I might as well move back to Florida.
Oh, here we go. So I do have a question about hot dog chili, though, and I think you may have addressed this, and I'm not sure.
Okay.
If hot dog chili doesn't have beans in it, is it still chili?
Listen, I've seen people make vegetable chili, and if we're going to allow people...
Vegetable chili would have beans in it, though.
The point that I'm making is, if you are allowing people to get away with calling something with only vegetables chili, with no meat in it, then I would say that chili without beans is still chili.
If you're eating chili on your hot dog and it doesn't have beans in it, it's hot dog sauce. It's not chili.
Hot dog sauce. It's hot dog sauce, says Lazo. I have never heard those 3 words used in that combination before.
Well, at your local grocer, you can go find them in the canned aisle.
Excuse me, sir. Can I pick up some hot dog sauce, please? I'm just uncomfortable by that combination of words for some reason. All right, let's get back to sports. Hashtag stick to sports. So last night, yesterday afternoon, I guess, as we were going off of the air, the Clemson Tigers were in a fight with the Hurricanes of Miami in the quarterfinals of the ACC basketball tournament up in Greensboro, North Carolina. 5th-seeded Clemson had earned a first-round bye. They did have a chance to win in the final seconds. In fact, they even clinched down. Now, set up for the game. And if you go back to our Twitter page, twitter.com/ESPN Upstate, you can read what I was tweeting along with the game itself. And going into the game, I issued a warning to the Clemson Tigers. I said, look, This Miami team looks bad on paper if you look at just their record. They look bad on paper. But what that does not tell you is the fact that Miami has maybe been the most snake-bitten team all season long. The injury bug was real, and it decimated Miami. That is not a bad basketball team. And I said, Clemson, a 9-point favorite, should win this game unless Brad Brownell's team does not have the mental fortitude to weather some big Miami runs, which we saw Isaiah Wong do the night before against Pittsburgh, and they allow Miami to get confident shooting the rock consistently. And what happened? Miami got confident shooting the rock. Clemson was not defending the paint. Miami was playing both in and out. Clemson was playing an outside-in game. I said on the air, play inside out, you win this basketball game. Play outside in, you lose it. And they lost it. Late in the game, Clemson at one point was down 7, and they put together a nice little comeback run. In fact, inside the last 40 seconds, Clemson came up with 2 enormous Miami turnovers late in the game that gave them an opportunity. They get it down to the last possession, one more turnover. Nick Honor runs into the lane and puts up a floating toward the basket, leaping teardrop shot, off balance, getting knocked around. It was a terrible shot selection. But I don't blame Nick Honor. I don't. The fact that Clemson was even in that situation was completely unnecessary. I told you, do not take the cover. Take Miami +9, but take Clemson outright for the dub. Nailed it. This game was disappointing because Clemson lost, not because they weren't as talented of a basketball team. They lost that game because mentally they broke down in the last 8 minutes of the basketball game. The last 40 seconds of the game, they were damn near clutch with the exception of the Nick Honor running game winner. But the last 10 minutes, with the exception of the final 40 seconds, Clemson looked lost. They looked lost. They weren't playing their style of ball. Miami was moving the ball around the top of the key easily. Brad Brownell, here's the part that frustrates me the most, Lonzo. I'm watching this game. Very good game at halftime. Close game. I think Clemson was up 4 going into the break. And they do the halftime interview with Brad Brownell. Brad says, hey, look, man, got to pick up the defensive intensity. The effort's not there. He was correct. We got to jump into the passing lanes. We got to take away the easy ball rotation. We got to make Miami work to move the ball around the floor. Exactly right. Did they do that? Nope. It's frustrating to me, Zoe, when the head coach comes out and says exactly what needs to be done, and then the team just falls apart and fails miserably to do that. That's my problem with Brad Brownell and the Clemson Tiger basketball team right this second, Lonzo.
You know, anytime I comment, I know it seems like that I'm piling on Clemson, and I get that, and sometimes I absolutely am. We are adversaries, and that's how that goes. But I can also look at the stats and look at how things seem to go every year. This is Brad Brownell's MO. Seems like a good guy and everything, but his teams classically do this nearly every single year. And coming into this, there's no reason to look at it and go, wow, this is the year they're going to do it. They're going to do it, because they haven't, and they didn't. And this is just more of the same. It's unfortunate, but that's what it is.
Yeah, 100%. It's when I got here and we started talking Clemson ball, the feedback I got was, you'll learn, Rob. You'll learn. We can have a great ACC regular season. We can show up. But when it's time to win or go home, this Clemson team mentally breaks down. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. Deep in the second half, Miami hits a couple of shots. They catch up. I think at one point Miami was like on like a 16-2 run or something ridiculous. And all I wanted, get the ball down into the paint. Get the ball down to your best player. Get it down to Alamir Dawes and let that guy own the paint. And they didn't. Second thing that killed me, the rebounding. the rebounding. It was like Miami was getting second chance shot after second chance shot after second chance shot, and it was unbelievable. The rebound numbers aren't crazy different. Miami had 26 total boards, 7 offensive. Clemson had 25 and 6 offensive. Problem is, those 7 boards for Miami those 7 offensive rebounds for Miami, most of them came in the second half at the point where Clemson needed to clean up the glass. It's not like Clemson got flat out outplayed. They didn't. Miami shot the ball well, 53.7% on 29 of 54 from the floor, 5 of 13 from the arc, and 4 of 5 from the line. Clemson shot the ball relatively well from deep, 12 of 23 from three-point, 52.2%, 47% from the floor on 23 of 49 shooting. 25 boards and 6 offensive to Miami's 26 and 7. Clemson owned the assist category 15-9. Both teams had 3 blocks. Miami had 7 steals. Clemson had 5. Clemson had 15 turnovers. Miami had 13. Clemson had 14 fouls. Miami gave up 11. Clemson didn't get outplayed in this game, Lonzo. They just fell apart at the most critical stretches. They could not, when Miami would go on a run in the second half, they couldn't shut them down, and they refused to go back to playing their best style of basketball. The problem that you bump into is that if your team is routinely falling apart mentally in the biggest spots, I hate to say it because he seems like a really nice dude, but that falls back on Brad Brownell not having these guys ready to play in the biggest of big moments. And it cost them what was maybe the most favorable ACC bracket that they have been set up in a while. And if I'm a Clemson Tiger basketball fan today, Lonzo, I am outraged by that loss yesterday.
Well, there's that. And are you guaranteed to make it into the NCAA tournament? And if you get there, what are you going to be able to do? If things were so favorable in the ACC tournament, they're not going to be in the NCAA tournament. And do you almost, if you are someone that wants the coach gone, do you almost want your team to not make the tournament?
I don't think so, right? I don't think so. I mean, I want in the tourney just because I want to see, hey, maybe they learned something from that, right? Maybe they clicked from that. Maybe that loss, maybe that L in that spot to a team they absolutely should have beat will invigorate them to perform better. They're in the tourney. The problem is, yesterday, I think they were a 5 seed. Today, I think they're a 7-8 seed. And I think the road to a Sweet 16 or Elite 8 just got much more difficult for the Clemson Tigers. And if they couldn't handle Miami in the ACC tournament in Greensboro, what do they do? What are they going to do when they get up to Indy and they got to play, I don't know, probably either a 7 or a 9 seed out of the gate? Second round, they're going to catch a 2 seed. They're going to catch a Bama in the second round. What are you going to do when you get there? I mean, that you couldn't handle the pressure of Miami in the quarterfinal round of the ACC tournament. Man, I hope you learned something, because that team that played yesterday, they will catch the smoke in the NCAA tournament up in Indy, Zoe. And if they catch a 2 seed and play the way they played against Miami, they will get run out of the gym in a way, Zoe, that they might rather have stayed home, because on the recruiting trail, which is picked up, on the recruiting trail, recruits are going to look and go, wait a minute. You guys got bounced by Miami from the ACC tournament. You got thrashed in the NCAA tournament. Why do I want to be there? Why do I want to be there? And so they will not have an answer for those recruits.
Yeah, you could say that, but it's the same situation every year, and still they bring players in. So I think it's a matter of Clemson as a campus, the facilities, all that kind of stuff. They can sell them on that. And they can always say, you're the guy, you're the piece we're missing. It isn't like they're horrible. They're always really, really close, and probably one really good player away that can overtake and overcome anything that may be coming from the coaching staff that's causing this to happen.
844 GSP ESPN 844-477-3776. Texas, want to hear from you. At ESPN, talked about does chili have to have beans to be considered chili? If not, is it hot dog sauce? Texter says, of course it is. You are dead wrong, Lonzo. You don't want this smoke. End quote. You have riled up the chili people this morning,
Let
Lonzo.
me just say, smoke goes along with chili, and I do want that smoke. I ain't scared.
And at ESPN, they lost good. Bleep that orange crappy school, end quote. Fix your basketball program, Clemson, because it's opening the door, man. It's opening the door. Quick break. Back after this. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate.
Prisma Health is up next.
Yep.
You're listening to the Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say play ESPN Upstate.
Prisma Health in the Upstate is not only the official healthcare provider for the Clemson Tigers and the Gamecocks of South Carolina, but they are the official healthcare provider for you and your family. At least they want to be. Prisma Health is committed to your safe care. Their hospitals, their physicians are taking every precaution to protect you, your family, and their team members from the spread of COVID-19. And we're continuing to see its impact. Duke is out of the tournament. We got multiple schools around the country pausing spring football. We are not out of this pandemic yet, which is why you need to stay in touch with the folks at Prisma Health. They are committed to your safe care. Whether you're dealing with COVID issues or you've got any other medical issue that you need help with, whether it's orthopedic issues, cancer issues, heart issues, it doesn't matter. Prisma Health and their more than 2,400 providers across the Upstate and the Midlands are here for you. Go to their website right now at prismahealth.org, prismahealth.org. From that site, you can find a doctor. You can read up on the services they offer and the specialists who work within those services. You can schedule an appointment to make sure that you're looking after your health right now. There's a reason that Prisma Health is the official healthcare provider for the Gamecocks and the Tigers, and there is a reason they should be the healthcare providers for you and your family. Go to prismahealth.org to learn more. Prismahealth.org. It's our friends at Prisma Health here in the Upstate.
AutomotiveMap.com.
Let's see. Hurry up and get to break so Lonzo can answer for this blasphemy. I need to. When Zoe comes back to the air chair, he has chilly questions to be answered for. Clearly.
Hey, Rob, we got kind of a strange phone call going on.
All right.
A guy, Tyler, is on hold. He wants to talk about a hat that he found on the highway, a NASCAR hat that has a bunch of signatures, and see if it's actually worth anything.
Okay.
So at first I thought he was just calling in to get the word out, see if somebody wanted to claim it. But he goes, "No, I just want to know if it's worth something." So I think he's coming on air whenever you want.
Take a shot at it.
Cool.
Does he know who the signatures are by chance?
I think he did mention a few, but I was kind of listening to the live read to put it back on air. So
Alonzo, you have now routed up at least one chili lover. Our friend Michael Stathakis has not only tweeted into the show with a picture of the chili dogs that he is serving today, topped with one big damn onion ring, but he has also said that I acknowledge that up north they put beans in their hot dog chili, but the common denominator is meat, not beans.
I don't know. I need to look up the definition of chili.
He also says you must answer for this blasphemy. Quote, end quote.
30 seconds. Definition of chili does not have beans in it.
Drew's coming out gunning at you.
That's according to the Big Bang Theory.
Okay, so he went Big Bang Theory. So some writer said that.
Immediate
That doesn't
disqualifier
mean,
for me.
But
Yeah,
they go with Webster's dictionary on those.
Or so the writer said. We will look up the Webster's dictionary ourselves.
On Twitter, tweet at The Rob Brown Show on the Upstate Sports Leader, ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. You need to join the stream live at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show, or search The Rob Brown Show on YouTube. Join the stream live. Come in and chat with us. Had a very lively discussion during the break. Because now it is our commitment to you, the listeners of the Upstate, is to find out what the actual definition of chili is and decide, must chili contain beans? Zoe says if it does not, it is nothing more than hot dog sauce. Those are three words that he said on purpose on the air. Michael Stathakis has chimed in and said that he acknowledges that up north they put beans in their hot dog chili, but the common denominator is meat, and says that Lonzo, quote, must answer for this blasphemy, quote unquote.
All right, I'm willing to answer for this. And I did look up the definition, and we will, I love when things pop up in a way. A thick sauce of meat and chilies. So if your chili doesn't have chilies in it, it is not chili. So I was wrong about the beans. But if you don't have chili in your chili, it's not chili.
All right, people.
And yeah, you heard me say I was wrong. And Michael's right. By definition, by my definition, I go by the chili that I was raised on, and it always had beans in. And the majority of my family is from Kentucky, which is still considered north, but not to Ohio. It's considered south. So I don't know.
So it's time for you to weigh in, Upstate. What is required for chili to graduate from hot dog sauce? Don't talk about
chili. Sauce. That's a totally different thing.
Stathakis, our restaurateur official here at the Rob Brown Show, says the chili refers to chili powder, not the actual chili peppers. Lonzo.
Well, according to Merriam-Webster, it said chilies, which
But chili powder is made out of chili, so does it count? We have a ship of feces hypothetical going on here.
Is it really? Are we sure that chili powder is made out of chilies? Because we don't know unless we actually have a packet of chili powder in front of us. Now, there's several different brands.
I defer to Michael Stathakis on this. He speaks for me.
I also defer to him because his restaurant is awesome and he makes really good food. But according to Merriam-Webster, it has to have chilies in it. It doesn't say chili powder, it said chilies.
Texter says ESPN, there's this thing called chili powder that is in all chili. And then another texter says, and I quote, "Good God, you are a moron."
Here's the problem with that. Who was he talking about?
Oh, it's me.
It could have been talking about himself. We don't know.
We
don't know.
It's me. We both know it's me. I appreciate the defense. We know who he's texting that to. Tyler is on the line, wants to chat with us. Let's get Tyler in here. Tyler, welcome to the Rob Brown Show. Thanks for taking a minute. Great to have you, buddy.
Oh, absolutely, fellas. I appreciate you, Mr. Rob, Mr. Lonzo. I hope y'all having a good day today. On the hot dog thing, and I'm sure Lonzo may know this, Skyline Chili from Cincinnati, Ohio. I don't know if you've ever heard about that.
Tyler, I like you. I appreciate you calling in. I'm glad to have you. I want you to finish your call. Skyline Chili is straight up garbage. It is trash chili.
Oh.
It's gross. It's not chili. Skyline Chili is like, it's one of those things that the people of Cincinnati are very proud of. It's like when you go downtown and there's like a really big dude who's wearing shorts that are really too short and he's got his belly fat hanging over the top and he's like, "I look good." And it's like, I'm glad you're proud of it, buddy, but nobody else appreciates what you're doing.
First of all, I just want to say I do not appreciate your depiction of people who live in Ohio, because that's what you just basically said. Everyone in Ohio looks like that, and I totally disagree.
I did not say. I just said in general, dudes who rock that. But Skyline Chili is. You know why you have to cover up Skyline Chili with 37 pounds of shredded cheese? Because it's gross. Yeah. Because fake plastic cheese tastes better than Skyline Chili.
All right. I have to come clean with this. Normally, that I am the defender of most things from Ohio, but I think Skyline Chili is nasty.
It's awful.
Yeah,
it's awful. It's awful. So, Tyler, we just had a text come in that says they try to put Skyline on spaghetti and it still sucks. You can't even use pasta to make Skyline Chili.
You know what the problem with Skyline Chili? It's the taste of the sauce. I can't even describe it, but it's not good.
Skyline Chili is gross. All right, Tyler, get to your call.
With what I wanted. Yeah. Hey, no, I have something else if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay, so I drive a lot for my job, and I'm going to be quick about this. I was on a road in Simpsonville, and I guess somebody was moving, and I guess some of their luggage fell off, and it was in the middle of the road. And it's a 1992 NASCAR Championship hat, Alan Kulwicki, and it has about 12 signatures on it from, I guess, NASCAR racers. I have no idea. I don't know if anybody is looking for it or if it's worth anything. So I just wanted to see if y'all knew anything about that, because I'm not a big NASCAR fan.
Well, here's what I'll tell you. First off, if anybody knows whose hat and you can prove that it is yours, do you have like the rest? More importantly, do you have the rest of their luggage, Tyler?
No. I found 3 hats, and then there was just a bunch of stuff on the road. I stopped and I grabbed 3 of the hats, and one of them looks like maybe it's maybe worth something. I don't know.
All right. So here's what I would tell you to do, Tyler. I would tell you to take that hat, and I would tell you to take it to a sports memorabilia shop and try to identify the signatures, because 92 had a great, and if it's got an Alan Kulwicki signature on it, it will be worth money, because Alan Kulwicki, I believe, won the NASCAR championship that year. But Bill Elliott was driving that year. Davey Allison was driving that year. Kyle Petty, Mark Martin, Ricky Rudd, Terry Labonte, Darrell Waltrip, Sterling Martin, Dale Earnhardt Sr., Rusty Wallace, Brett Bodine, Ken Schrader, Dale Jarrett, Dick Trickle, Derek Cope, Michael Waltrip, Richard Petty drove that year. That was towards the end of it for him, but he drove that year. There were a lot of legendary NASCAR names that drove and made the final board in 1992. I would tell you sincerely, take that hat to a sports memorabilia show somewhere. Try to get it certified. Okay. Try to find out who the signatures are. If those are on that list on your hat, that hat would be worth some cash, my man.
Okay. All right. Well, I just thought it was a fun kind of thing because that's not something that happens every day. So that's why I called in. And like I said, I appreciate y'all. I listen to you every day, and I love y'all's work.
Tyler, thank you, bud.
For letting me call in.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate it. Take that hat, get it certified. Call us back. Let us know who's on it. You want to talk about stumbling onto a gold mine there, Zoe. If that hat's got some of those driver signatures on it that we just read off, including the Earnhardts and the Cool Wickies and the Labanis that were driving that year, that dude may have just stumbled onto easy a handful of $100 right there on the side of the interstate.
Yeah, but the problem is, and you pretty much pointed that out, is how can you prove it's yours? I think here's the way. Here's the way you can prove it's yours. He picked up 3 hats. If you can say what the other 2 hats are, then obviously that's your hat.
Yep.
Because he didn't mention what was on the other 2 hats.
Correct. Or if you can, if you got pictures of you with that hat from years ago. So obviously that has been floating around for a long, was that 26-year-old hat? Has been floating around for a minute. You got pictures of it or name the other 2 hats. We'll get you in touch with Tyler, try to get your property back to you. It sounds like Tyler's willing to give it back to its rightful owner. But if not, Tyler, my dude, you just stumbled in to a winning lottery ticket, amigo. You really did. Quick break. When we come back here in just a minute from right this very second, we are going to get into some Carolina Panthers talk. Perhaps all of the Carolina drama about drafting a quarterback may be a bit premature based on the comments out of the Carolina Panthers front office yesterday. We'll play that audio from Matt Rule, and Zoe and I will break it down next on the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
You're listening to the Rob Brown Show. Listen on your phone everywhere on the radio.com app. Download the app and make ESPN Upstate a
Oh my goodness. You know, it's the one thing I sincerely love about this show is that we never really have I can prep every minute of the show from top to bottom, Lonzo, and then one offhand comment about chili on a hot dog will just take over the entire show. And I mean that. I love it sincerely.
That's the fun part about radio. I mean, there are people who will stick to everything that's on their lineup, on their outline, and if they go outside of it, then they struggle. And then there are other people who flow with the waves. Speaking of which, you made it to the beach yet?
No, I think I'm actually going to go down there this afternoon.
I know you talked about how long it would take to get there, but I still have never been to Florida. I can't imagine going to Florida and not going to the beach. But since you were born there and lived there, maybe it's not as big of a deal.
I was born in New Orleans, and I moved here when I was 4, and then I spent 32 years here.
By the way, real quick, Brian asked if we watched AEW last night. I did. And we're going to be talking about it at 2:20.
I did, and you damn right we are. Absolutely. Because I got to tell you, I am now convinced there's not a better mic man in the game right now than Eddie Kingston. Convinced.
I will give you my
than
opinion.
Moxley.
I was going to say, I will give you my opinion on that at 220. That's called a tease.
Fight Club 220. Lonzo hosts that segment. It's my favorite segment
Is
of
it?
the whole week. It is, because if something goes tragically wrong on that one, Lonzo, I'm not held responsible.
There's that. Yeah, there is that. Let's face it, if anything goes tragically wrong today, it's Drew's fault. So we're good.
Welcome to the club, Drewski.
That's right.
That's how that works. It's always a producer's fault.
If you guys are looking for good onion rings, the Beacon in downtown Spartanburg has you covered. I have not yet made it to the Beacon. I've only gotten to go to Spartanburg. I think I've been there twice so far, mainly because the majority of the time I've been here, obviously everything's been shut down. But now that things are kind of starting to get back to quasi-normal, when I get back in town next week, I need to make a run over to Spartanburg. I hope that we can start going on remote soon, because I got to tell you, Zoe, the Rob Brown Show live from the Beacon in Spartanburg, you hosting while I stuff my dome with good onion rings does not hurt my feelings any.
Okay. The days of being able to do remotes are coming back. They are.
Fingers crossed.
Speaking of remotes, Mark Ryan, live at an Ingles today. Somewhere.
Somewhere.
Yeah, because I don't have it in front of me which one. But he's out there somewhere. Or will be.
30 seconds.
He wants you to come and shake his hand and just kind of stand there and
Give
stare
him a
at him
big
for
hug.
a while. Yeah.
Breathe very close to his face.
Or just stay on the perimeter. Don't say anything, and just make sure out of his peripheral, he always sees you.
At your local store.
Stare intently out of
Real, unfiltered sports talk brewed locally.
Oh my God, a hipster! Bring him a microbrew, quick!
This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Rocking and rolling here on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. So the Carolina Panthers, I mean, look, it's been pretty much assumed that Carolina was moving on from Teddy Bridgewater as their starting quarterback. But yesterday, there were comments from a couple of folks inside of the front office. Scott Fitterer, the former Seahawks VP of football operations turned general manager, made some comments about Teddy Bridgewater, where he basically said, hey, Teddy B's our guy. We brought him in. We brought him here to be the quarterback. He is the quarterback, yada, yada, yada. And then Matt Rule was hosting a press conference, and Matt Rule got asked about Teddy Bridgewater. And, you know, what's his role with the team? Is he still with the team? Have you guys been talking, et cetera? Here's what Matt Rule had to say about Teddy Bridgewater. I want you to listen very closely right in the middle of this 45-second clip, because Matt Rule says something that caught both Zoe and I's attention the first time we listened to this clip. I want you to see if it picks up for you as well. Here's Matt Rule talking about where Teddy Bridgewater stands with his team. He said, and then didn't unmute. Here's Matt Rule talking about Teddy Bridgewater.
Quarterback. And, nothing's changed since the end of the offseason. It's really not much to add from where we started, at the end of the year. We're going to continue to try to improve the roster at every position through free agency, through the draft, and also through development. We expect players to, play better this year than they played last year. We expect coaches to coach better this year than they did last year. And that's at every position. So Teddy's, like I said, he's a true professional. He didn't unfollow me. I think he's just at a I wouldn't read too much into anything. I think, he's in a moment right now where he's just kind of controlling what he can control, focusing on himself, focusing on his family. And I know when he gets back here, he'll be ready to go.
So there's Matt Rule talking about Teddy Bridgewater. Then he was asked about the consistent amount of talk that the Carolina Panthers are in the hunt for a new quarterback. Here's how he answered that.
I'd just say this first. I'd say that, this is the time of year where there's lots of rumors and speculation, and not all of it's true. I'm out in the community. People say things to me, ask me questions. I heard this team called you. And not all of it's true. Some of it about it can be true, but sometimes it's not true. So, Teddy is a tremendous professional, and Teddy's a tremendous person. And so, I can't speak for him. I think he's controlling what he can control, and he's having a great off season. I'm sure. I can't wait to get him back here, and I think he's determined to play his best football next year.
Teddy Bridgewater is having a great off season. ... I'm sure. End of sentence. So the first time we played that clip, you and I both had our ears perk up under the microphone or under the headphones at the exact same time, because that sentence sure sounds to me like Matt Rule has not been in contact with Teddy Bridgewater. We heard all about Teddy B unfollowing the Panthers on the gram. We've heard about all the drama behind the scenes, et cetera, et cetera. Sounds to me like Matt Rule hasn't really had any conversations with Teddy Bridgewater, which I got to tell you is kind of weird if he is your guy. I'm going to say this. Matt Rule is growing on me. Guys seem to like him. I was impressed with what he did with the Panthers last season. But Lonzo, I don't believe for a second that the Carolina Panthers are not actively looking for their next quarterback, whether it's via trade or the draft. Not for a second do I believe that Teddy Bridgewater starts a game for the Panthers next year.
The only way that I would believe that Bridgewater is going to be there is if there were some sort of transcendent player, whether it be a lineman, linebacker, receiver, someone like that they had their eye on, and then they would worry about quarterback next year. But there isn't that in this draft. And I don't, if he's called out on it, what does he say? Well, I've talked to him and he's told me he's in shape, but I haven't seen him. That's what I meant by that. I mean, that's an out to what he said. That's not what it sounds like. It sounds like he really hasn't had any contact with them. It also sounds like what we think is true is that they're moving on, and it would be a shock if he's still there, but we've been shocked before.
Question would be, Teddy's got 2 more years on his contract. If the Panthers go draft a quarterback and they bring in a Mac Jones or they bring in a Trey Lance, who are, I think, the 2 options they're going to have on the board at 8, unless they jump up and they go get Justin Fields, which will cost them some draft capital, obviously. Would they keep Teddy Bridgewater on as a transition year quarterback, right? We want to give Mac Jones or Trey Lance a year to learn the game, learn the NFL, learn the speed, learn the book, et cetera, et cetera. Would Teddy B be willing to do that? Would he be willing to stay on? Hey, look, you're still the starter. It's still your team. Because here's how this tends to work in the NFL, right? You go out there, Teddy Bridgewater wins a bunch. Great. You're still moving on to your replacement quarterback down the road. But I don't think anybody expects that out of Teddy Bridgewater. The other options are you lose so many games that it doesn't really matter, in which case the young guy comes in and takes over. Or you get a Tyrod Taylor situation where the starter gets hurt, he goes down, the young man comes in, and now they just go ahead and hand him the keys to the Lamborghini moving forward. I don't know that Teddy Bridgewater is going to be interested in playing the mentor role, because Teddy Bridgewater still wants to be an NFL starting quarterback, still wants to have his name up there in the QB1 spot on the depth chart. I don't believe Matt Rule. Now, I'm not sitting here saying, Matt Rule's a liar. Boo. I'm not, because this is how the game gets played, right? Because if nothing works out, if all the QBs are off the board by 8, they won't be, but if all the QBs are off the board at 8 and no other guys become available, then maybe Matt Rule's stuck. Maybe he's stuck with Teddy B, and at least Teddy B is going to go, well, he's been saying the whole time I'm the starter. Of course I'm the starter, right? You're going to make that guy as happy as you can until a more attractive option comes along, until a more attractive option shows up. And then you just say, sorry, Ted, we gave it a shot. Good luck in your future endeavors. It's a crap side of the business, Lonzo. But as we talked about yesterday in the salary cap conversations, It is part of the business.
It's a smart move to keep this guy on your team because of all the things that you just pointed out. And in this day and age where players are deciding, well, I just want to go somewhere else, you don't give him that option. You make him believe that he's going to be the guy, and maybe he really believes he's going to be the guy until you bring in that quarterback of the future, and then that quarterback of the future outplays the quarterback you have now and becomes the quarterback of the present. Well, you never intended for that to happen, but you have to plan ahead. That's just business.
844-477-3776, 844-GSP-ESPN is the number. Let's run to a break. When we come back here in just a second, we'll catch up on the text line. You got any text you want read on air, send them in right now to 71307. Start them with ESPN. We'll read them on the air. In the first segment, of the next hour, enormous news about a quarterback in the NFL. One that I didn't think was going to get traded. But something has played out in Las Vegas overnight that has me very, very, very intrigued. And it could mean that a Pro Bowl quarterback is on his way to a new squad, and we might know who it is. I'll talk about that in the first segment of the next hour. Stick around. My name is Rob. Lonzo back at the controls. My man Drew flying the bird for us. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate.
You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
And one of the results of the pandemic that's been absolutely killing me has been that, like, every time a celebrity's name pops up that I like, I'm just like, oh no, please don't die. Please don't die. Just had the lady friend text me a minute ago and asked me if I knew who Chuck Lavelle is. And Chuck Lavelle played in the Allman Brothers back in the day. I also know he's been with, 10, 15 other major acts over the years. And I don't know why she asked me if I know who Chuck Lavelle is, but now I'm waiting for that follow-up text because I don't want it to be, oh, he just died. I'm really hoping something cool like, oh, he just scheduled a show in Greenville or something. But welcome to the age of the Rona, y'all.
All right, I'm curious. Should I issue a chili apology? Because I looked up the definition of chili powder, and chili powder is made with ground chilies. Now, that doesn't mean that all chili powder is made that way, but it would make sense that it's supposed to. So I was wrong about the chili powder. I was wrong about certain things.
You're off the hook because you didn't say anything slanderous about chili. You just questioned its makeup.
All right, so here's what I should have said, in my opinion, in the opinion of many that I know. Chili is only chili if it has beans in it. That's what I should have said. I did not say that, though.
You should say, I prefer variations of chili with beans in it, because chili is still chili whether you like it or not. with or without beans in it. But
and by the way, I just
prefer it a certain way.
I got to point out, I don't like beans in the chili that's on a hot dog.
So it's an irrelevant conversation anyway.
But you know what we got? We got a wonderful picture of those hot dogs from Stacked.
We did.
That looked tasty. That made me hungry.
For just a second, I said inside my own head, Lonzo, man, when we're done with the show, I should go to Stack's and get those chili dogs. And then forgot that I am 8 hours away.
Yeah, you are. You're not here right now.
Bit of a hole.
When you go home, what is the food that you absolutely have to get? Something you miss that you can't get in the upstate?
Well, I mean, obviously the Destin area is all about seafood, right? Like you can go to just about any restaurant that's down on the beach and you can get redfish or grouper or triggerfish that was swimming 4 hours ago. Like it is impossible to be more fresh than it is in Destin, Florida for those types of fish. And I find, and it may just be because I grew up with it, but redfish, triggerfish, grouper, not mackerel, tuna that are caught out of the Gulf and served 4 hours after they were swimming, that fish just tastes better than like the cold Arctic fish, cod, and what is it? Not halibut. What's the haddock? Those fish just don't compare to redfish and red snapper and grouper and triggerfish straight off a boat in Destin.
But would a novice such as myself who's never been to Florida and who's never had fish that fresh before, would I be able to tell?
Yes. Yeah, you can. It's very easy to tell when fish is super fresh versus has been frozen and transported. Yes.
By the way, we are just about 4 minutes away from the next ESPN Cash Dash keyword, so make sure you stay tuned when Rob will give you the next word.
Please do a 5-minute sincere apology to Chili.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, man, that's good.
If I did 5 minutes of an apology for Chili, everyone listening would be in tears. I guarantee it. Because it would be the most sincere apology you've ever heard in your entire life.
A bowl of ground meat
you
and
would
chili
feel
pepper.
guilty that I feel that bad.
30 seconds.
You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your computer and tablet at ESPNUpstate.com.
The Rob Brown Show rolling on, wrapping up hour number 2. Rob Lonzo and you, 844-GSP-ESPN, Texas 71307. 71307 is the number. Check on the text line at ESPN. Skyline Chili is serious trash. At ESPN, Skyline Chili ruined Andy Dalton's career. And at ESPN, I didn't mean to jump all in Lonzo's chili earlier. It's just that his take was so bad that it stood out over top of everything else. Like Skyline Chili, it was a Skyline Chili take. End quote, Lonzo.
I will just point out to the texter that, yeah, you're probably right. But you know what happened with it, though? We're still talking about it. That's all I'm saying. So maybe I did my job. Maybe, possibly.
All right. Coming up in the next hour, Lonzo may or may not issue a full sale apology to Chili. We will find out about that. At 2:20, Lonzo hosts Fight Club, where we will walk through all the combat sports taking place that you need to know about. And on top of that, opening the next segment, Russell Wilson news. Something happened in Vegas last night that has me very, very, very intrigued. Vegas is a soothsayer. Do they have some news on where Russell Wilson might end up? Betting odds changed on a couple of big-time lines yesterday. Could that mean that Russell Wilson is indeed about to get dealt? And what does that do for the quarterback hunt around the NFL? We're going to break that down coming for you as we open it up. Before we do, keep in mind, your time to win some cash money, y'all. You want some cash money? Well, the ESPN Upstate Cash Stash is here for you. The ESPN Upstate Cash Stash, powered by BetQL. Let BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better. Download the BetQL app today. Your chance to win $1,000 in the $1,000 Cash Stash on ESPN Upstate. The keyword for this is ROCK, R-O-C-K, ROCK. Text ROCK to 72881, 72881 for your chance to win $1,000 on ESPN Upstate. It's the free cash stash on ESPN Upstate. Keyword ROCK to 72881. Back after this with the third hour of the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
ESPN Upstate, WYRD Greenville, WORD Spartanburg, WFBC FM HD3 Greenville, Radio.com sports station.
AutomotiveMap.com presents your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, powered by The Score. South Carolina basketball, they are set to open up SEC tournament action tonight in Nashville as they're going to match up against Ole Miss, the all-time series. Ole Miss leads it 20-20. Yep. South Carolina all-time in SEC tournament games, they are 21-28. They come into the game with a 6-14 record. Ole Miss 15-10. Clemson basketball, they're running the ACC tournament one and done. They lose to Miami yesterday, 67-64. They beat Miami twice during the regular season, but could not come up with a postseason win. They should be in pretty good shape for the NCAA tournament, but they won't know for sure until Selection Sunday. Download the Score app today, lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
Have you heard the Rob Brown Show?
If you want to say greatest of all time so far, that's fine. You can do that.
Tom Brady is the greatest of all time, ... so far. That's fine. I'll agree with that.
If you say so far, people get offended and get angry because they want you to know, no, you don't understand. This is the greatest of all time. He may be the greatest of your lifetime. That doesn't make him the greatest of all time.
I'm fine with that.
Unless, of course, the world ends in the next year or so, and then you may be right.
Floating through space, the last human being stares back down at the charred, crispy remains of what used to be planet Earth as his life systems repeatedly alarm him that he's running out of oxygen. He stares out the window at the giant ball of molten rock that used to be planet Earth, and he says to himself and no one else, Tom Brady was the greatest of all time.
Hey, Greenville, Spartanburg. Catch the Rob Brown Show. Weekdays noon to 3 on ESPN Upstate. ESPN Upstate, the home of the biggest games.
The Buccaneers have beaten the defending champion Chiefs 31-9.
And the best local sports talk shows.
And we got a lot of great players in there.
My name is Rob Brown. Glad to have you along for the ride.
A lot of great playmakers. It is offsides.
Word.
Warning.
And check this out.
For an official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
Hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is ESPN Upstate. I am Rob Lonzo, back in the network studio, sitting in the co-host chair today. Drew, flying the bird force. Drew going to be filling in for Zoe next week while he is out on vacation. I will be out next Friday as well. We'll have some NCAA tournament action for you as we get March Madness started up and underway. Looking forward to March Madness, and we're going to obviously be breaking that down for you much more tomorrow as we get through with our semifinal games in the ACC, the SEC tournament rolling on as well. Plenty of conference tournament action taking place. Clemson falls yesterday to Miami. We talked a little bit about that game earlier in the show. Look, I'm not really ready to say it's time for Brad Brownell to go, Lonzo, but man, if there's a dial on that hot seat, that bad boy is cranked up to 11.
I am curious, though. It would seem that if this was football, we would have angry fans calling in going, he's got to go. I can't take this anymore. But there is the fact that you just don't hear that about basketball. You don't.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a football school. I get it. But at the same time, don't you want all your sports to be at the level of your football team?
Yeah, this whole thing of, well, we're a football school, not a basketball school. We're a basketball school, not a football. There's nothing that says you can't be good at both. There's no rule. There's no rule you have to pick one to be better at.
As far as I'm concerned, you have teams there to win and to be number one at every single sports, whether it's softball, basketball, golf, whatever it is at your school. You want them to be as good as the football team is.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. Falling apart under pressure in just about every game, and it happens once again. It's just disappointing. Just disappointing. All right, let's go to the Nash Football League. Last night, weird timing. Suddenly, the majority of the sports books took a line off of the board. Up until last night, you could get at around plus 330 odds that Russell Wilson would be traded away from the Seattle Seahawks. So you could go put money down at about 3-1 odds that Russell Wilson would not be playing for the Seattle Seahawks next year, that he would be sent on to another squad. Last night, and I will tell you, as long as I've been doing this, if I want to know whether a thing is likely or not, the first place I go are to the Vegas sports books, because those guys get paid mucho dinero in order to guess, to prognosticate whether or not something is going to happen. And they are damn good at it, because if they weren't, they lose a lot of money. So last night, late at night, I got an alert on my phone. Ping! Vegas removes Russell Wilson being traded off of the books, which means, to me, there's a chance somebody knows something. Within minutes of that, the Chicago Bears Super Bowl odds jumped up dramatically. Dramatically, they jumped up, which was really, really interesting to me that those two things happen at the exact same time. They jumped up. Now, not a ridiculous amount, but their odds to win the division went from like plus $1,000, plus 1,000 to plus 550. The Bears' odds to win the Super Bowl went from like plus 8,000 to plus 5,000 minutes after the bet of will Russell Wilson be traded came completely off the boards in Las Vegas. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this means that Russell Dangerous is on his way out of Seattle. But the fact that Vegas took that off the line, and considering the Bears were one of the teams Russell Wilson said he'd accept a trade to, and the Bears line also jumped up a decent, not huge, but decent number, at least a recognizable number in a single night. Ordinarily, odds only move up and down based on where the money is coming in, right? You want to pick a line where the money is coming in, relatively 50-50. That's why ordinarily when you see a point shift in a game, it shifts by like a half a point to a full point at a time and not much more, because they're just trying to find where the money's coming in 50-50 on both sides. The fact that the Bears jumped that much, to me, says we might not need to be shocked in the next 2 or 3 days if Russell Wilson is a Chicago Bear out of nowhere. Question's going to be, what does that do to the rest of the league? Zoe, your thoughts when we see these lines jumping around and the question or the odds for Russell Wilson remaining a Seahawk being taken completely off the boards?
That is weird, isn't it? I mean, that almost makes it look like that maybe Vegas knows something we don't know, which they always seem to know something we don't know. That's why they're Vegas, and that's why they make all the money that they make. It sounds like that's a likely scenario. My question is, if he does go to Chicago, what does that mean? I mean, will Chicago win that division? Can Chicago be competitive against Green Bay and Minnesota? I don't think that Russell Wilson makes a difference in Chicago. Do you?
Yes, I absolutely do. I don't even hate Mitchell Trubisky. I don't think Mitchell Trubisky's as bad as he's been made out to be. But yes, Russell Wilson is an immediate upgrade over Mitchell Trubisky.
Well, I mean, if you look at the history of the quarterbacks in Chicago, he's automatically one of the best ever there. That says a lot about, you know, the quarterbacks that they've had there, at least in this century. And so I don't know. I don't know that he makes that much of a difference on this side of his career, especially making the demands that he's supposedly making of the team he's at. I think he believes that he's Tom Brady.
Oh, he needs help. Let's be very clear.
He's not going into a Tom Brady situation that Brady did going into Tampa Bay. Chicago, I mean, they're good, but I don't think that he makes them a Super Bowl contender by going there.
I mean, not immediately off the bat, right? Not immediately off the bat. But the other thing that a Russell Wilson does for you, and this is part of the reason, not all, but part of the reason that I wanted to end up with or would have been happy with Russell Wilson ending up in New Orleans. He's a free agent magnet, right? Guys want to play with him. You're not going to find a whole heck of a lot of wide receivers that are going to go, yeah, I'll go play with Mitchell Trubisky in Chicago. It's not going to happen. Russell Wilson, you'll find a lot of them, man. You'll find a lot of them. So if he comes off the board, not only does Chicago immediately get better, and that's the other part of those odds, though, because they went from like plus 8,000 to plus 5,000 overnight. It's still a long shot. And what Vegas is saying at that point is they still have a tall task ahead around them to build up a team around Russell Wilson. He's not working with the DK Metcalfs of the world in Chi-Town, right? They've still got some building to do, but him showing up makes that building easier. You're not going to get a lot of free agents ready for Mitch Trubisky. You'll have a fistful ready to come play with Russell Wilson in a new town.
You know, I'm not trying to be opposite of what you're saying, but I want you to think about how many defections Seattle had for a while. And what if the reason why a lot of players left Seattle had nothing to do with the coach? What if they had to do with the quarterback? Maybe we're now seeing what his true colors are. And if so, that means there's a reputation in the league that's not getting out to the media and getting to us. So if that were the reason and he goes there, maybe people won't go there.
Yeah, and the question, somebody asked me the question yesterday when I was talking about this with some of my football friends. They asked the question, Lonzo, can we assume now that Russell Wilson's a little bit of a diva? And if he is a bit of a diva, whether it's, I mean, we had somebody.
All we got to do is point at, is just find the pictures of him sitting at the Super Bowl. Nothing says diva like the look on his face when he's at the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, and you weren't the only one. I was at a Super Bowl party, and there were multiple people pointing out that he looked miserable. He got interviewed by Dan Patrick a couple of weeks ago. Dan Patrick said, dude, you looked miserable. And he said, yeah, I was miserable because those guys were getting to play and I wasn't. And that's the correct answer in that case. But there are a lot of people who think Russell's just turned into a diva, right? A good chunk of the conversation that we had about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, when a lot of this story was really starting to break was it almost feels like to Russell, this is him taking an opportunity to grow his brand. And he knows he can't grow his brand there in Seattle any further than it is. To be the face of the league, he's got to go somewhere else because it's just not going to work. And the head-to-head stuff with Pete Carroll. Now, don't get me wrong. Pete Carroll's a guy that I could easily see there being a lot of young players that butt heads with Pete Carroll. All right, a lot of guys like him, but he's also a little bit of a weirdo. He's also 70 years of age. So there's just a misconnection, no matter how cool the guy is, between a 7-year-old and a 21-year-old playing in the league, 22-year-old playing in the league. That's just how it is. So if Russ is diva-ing out just a little bit, then it's not going to matter where he goes. He's going to struggle. But if this is not a diva moment, there are genuine, legitimate issues there. Chicago might be a good little landing spot for Russell. We're going to talk more about this tomorrow after this news kind of fleshes itself out for the rest of the day. Take a break. When we come back, Lonzo walks us through Fight Club, your guide to everything combat sports that you need to know. Lonzo's Fight Club is next on The Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
QC Kinetics.
Okay.
You're listening to the Rob Brown Show. Let the game come to you. Listen no matter where you go. In Anderson, Clemson, Greenville, and Spartanburg. ESPN Upstate is always streaming on the radio.com app.
Tell you about my friends at QC Kinetics. Why? For the same reason that they want you to know about QC Kinetics. Because your quality of life is important. If you're not enjoying your life, because every time you go to play golf, your shoulder hurts. And every time you pick up the grandkids, your hips and your lower back hurt. If every time you just want to go take a walk around the block with the neighbors and you can't because you know your ankles and your feet and your knees are going to be burning and killing you that night, QC Kinetics is here for you. Joint pain is something that we all suffer from. It's just a reality of life. And for years, access to non-surgical regenerative therapies like QC Kinetics required elite-level athletes to fly around the world to receive it. No longer. You can get it now right here in the Upstate. Non-surgical regenerative therapy that works for you at a cellular level. It accelerates and maxes out the efficiency of your body's natural healing processes and makes it work like it did when you were younger so that you can feel like you did when you were younger, and you can get back from your day-to-day life. You want to learn more? Super easy. Go to QCkinetics.com, QCkinetics.com, QCkinetics.com to learn more about the science behind their therapy and how it can work for you, or give them a call at 864-448-3772, 864-448-3772. Tell them the Rob Brown Show sent you. Get set up with that free consultation and learn how you can feel better, faster, naturally with our friends at QC Kinetics.
Fight Game Open will be next. Kentucky is out. It's pretty exciting. That just happened 30 seconds ago. I'm so excited. The big blues, except for UNC, are gone.
Yeah, Kentucky got bounced. I saw that.
They are gone.
Woo.
That's funny.
And Villanova's right on the edge with Georgetown, too.
Yeah. Man, what a weird year. UNC's on fire, though.
See, West Virginia got bounced by Okie State. Oh, yeah. Syracuse gave Virginia everything they wanted, too.
I know. They were leading that game by 10 for most of the game.
Everything they wanted.
Weird tournaments going on.
I love it. College basketball is the best, man.
Madness.
Well, the game cast of this Georgetown Villanova game, because I can't find it on TV. And just so you know, it will go out over the stream. But if you need to tell me something, like I'm not always looking at my messages when we're on the air. So
Okay.
if I need to know something during the air, while we're on the air, you can just put yourself in utility and just tell me in your ear. You won't disrupt me.
Oh, okay. You're talented enough to do that. I can never do that.
It's 14 years of doing it, big guy.
Yeah, well, that helps.
And also, what's it called? What's every woman I've ever dated called? Selective hearing.
Okay. That makes sense. Georgetown won it.
Pulled it off in the clutch.
Wow.
Nice. Go Hoyas. Patrick Ewing, my man.
That is interesting. Villanova is now 16-5. Yep. They'll get in.
Yeah, they're in. They're going to be a lower seed than they want.
Lower seed, right.
So we got Zoes, Buckeyes out early, 6-0 on Minnesota. Oh, my God, y'all played 4 minutes and it's 6-0? What is that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Defense, yo.
Yeah, 6-0 against the 500 club.
Sorry, that's not unusual for college basketball where making shots is not something that's done that often. That's why the NBA is superior. But, it is March, so.
How about freaking Carolina yesterday, man? Dropping a hundo.
They are on fire.
Golly, I'm kind of don't want to play them now.
Yep. I think they'll win the whole ACC tournament.
It's all up to FSU. If the FSU team that beat Virginia at home by 30 shows up, they can win it.
No.
If they don't, Carolina's in fuego. But I don't know, man. Florida State hadn't played since last Saturday, and they got the game off against Duke today. So I don't know what team comes out. Florida State from the first 3 quarters of the season was a world beater. Florida State for the last 25% of the season was straight hot garbage.
Yep. I have no confidence in them. 30 seconds.
When they're hitting their shots, they're as good as anybody in the country. It's just that they've taken days off where the shooting's been garbage.
Yeah, and UNC, if they just trade shots with UNC, the UNC's on fire. They'll pull it out.
And on ESPN News.
I just don't think he's good enough to beat me.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart, I want to eat his children.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the he wants.
I gotta tell you, that intro just pumps me up so much. I am so ready to go. Welcome into the Fight Club, the only segment on the Rob Brown Show fully endorsed by that show for men. All right, we're going to get to some AEW. We're going to get to some NXT, but first let's start with some UFC. We talked a little bit about the Aljamain Sterling fight with Petr Yan and how it went down. It ended up in a disqualification. What happened was Sterling's knee was down, and then Jan's corner, supposedly, and we've heard some audio where they did, one said kick, one said punch. They basically told him to hit him while he was down. He got disqualified and he lost his belt. And you know what? He should have lost his belt. Well, Petr Yan was just on with Ariel Helwani. And I've got some quotes, and I think if you don't know this yet, Rob, you're going to be interested in this. Here's what Petr said. I've always wanted to be able to do that. The moment I still didn't realize I did something illegal, I was trying to understand what was going on. Then I saw the tape, and I saw in this moment the doctor came into the cage and the referee talking to the doctor and referee saying to the doctor that this knee was illegal and he's going to disqualify me. And Aljamain was just sitting right next to them. He was hearing what the referee was saying to the doctor, and after that, we can see Aljamain started to feel worse and worse every second. So he started to lie on the ground, and I don't know what happened. You can see the first few moments after the knee landed, he was trying to recover, but then I feel like he started to exaggerate. He started to be acting because he heard what the referee said. I feel like he could have continued. It was his choice. not to, but I feel like he could have continued. And what happened after? First, he claims he doesn't remember what happened. Then he starts explaining what happened. Then he's doing an interview after the fight, telling what was going on. So to me, it's obvious he was very aware of what's going on, of what he's doing, and it was his decision to not continue to get a disqualification win. So what he's saying, Petr Yan is saying that Aljamain Sterling played possum to win the belt by disqualification, and he's basically calling him out on that. And I say, so what? You should not have kneed him in the face. I mean, you did something illegal. You deserve to lose the belt. Whether he faked being hurt worse than what he was, that's irrelevant. You cheated.
Yeah, that's a tough spot because, you don't want to have a guy who fakes it till he makes it in a sport like MMA. But at the same time, yeah, man, if I took an illegal knee to the dome and it rocked me a little bit, I'd have an issue with that. All I know is there's a rematch coming for this fight. I don't know how long it's going to take. I think both fighters have already said that they're in for a rematch. The winner, the champ, if you will, said that he'll be ready for it when he's ready for it. Basically, is a paraphrasing of what he said. You hate to see the belt change that way, man. You want to see somebody clean lose. You want to see somebody clearly win. But at the same time, yeah, the point is there, dude. You knocked the dude who was a down fighter, not expecting that shot with a knee to the dome. That's how it works. It's not like this was a twisting of the rules. If an opponent is down and you strike them illegally, you lose. This isn't a surprise to anybody, right?
I'm watching with my family and we're yelling at the screen, take the belt. I'm taking the belt. It's not your fault that he kicked you in the face while you were down. And some of the if I recall, the judges had the fight fairly even. So it wasn't like it was one-sided. It wasn't like Petr Yan, despite what the analysts were saying, it wasn't like Petr Yan was dominating this fight. It was a fairly even fight. Then that happened. You cheated. You lost. Get over it. If you're trying to use this as build up for the next fight, that's fine with all the hype, but you're making yourself look like a whiner after you needed the corner to tell you whether to do something or not, and you didn't realize in your mind that was cheating. And you knew it was cheating, and you did it anyway. You deserve to lose the belt. And I don't understand these guys. I guess it's a matter of honor, I suppose, when these guys decide to continue on. Instead of taking the belt, take the money. Not your fault. You didn't cheat. You did your job. This guy was dirty, and he deserves to pay. And maybe next time he doesn't look to his corner, and he realizes that he knows he's not supposed to do it, and he doesn't do that.
Yeah. It just, I hate to say this because it feels like a cop out of any conversation, but it is what it is, man. You broke the rule. You got DQ'd. Homeboy took the belt. You'll get your chance to get it back. Win that fight. We'll talk.
All right. So we're going to spend a lot more time on AEW, but before we get there, let's talk about NXT yesterday. Rob has some sort of inside knowledge on everything. So he knew that there were going to be women's tag team belts, and you were right.
Occasionally, like I know what I'm talking about, Lonzo. Occasionally.
You were right, but I know you know some guys that are on the inside, and they're feeding you knowledge that I'm not privy to that knowledge. I wish I was. It did not come
from that. That was an instinct call from your boy.
Okay, so the belts were awarded to Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, and then they lost them at the end of the night. Did you see that coming?
I did not.
I didn't see that coming. To one of my favorite wrestlers, Ember Moon. The only female wrestler T-shirt that I have is Ember Moon. And I really like her. And I got the chance to talk to Booker T last year or the year before on Offsides when he was on, and ask him because he's one of the people who trained her at his school. And it's cool to see her get the belt. And I like Shotzi Blackheart because anyone who can drive to the ring in a tank with a giant Nerf missile on it, that's awesome.
Yeah, they've grown on me. I'm not a big Shotzi Blackheart fan. She's just a little cheesy for me, which is saying something in the world of professional wrestling. I know, but I do like Ember Moon, and those two as a team have really kind of grown on. Anytime you get like a I don't know why I like the punk rock edge. For whatever reason, I'm just fixated by it. Did not see them winning. Didn't see them going over. I thought you might see kind of the heel exit the ring in order to keep the belts for day number one kind of move. But, Dakota Kai and Raquel never really felt like a super smooth tag team to me. I was a little bit shocked they ended up winning the Dusty Cup, but look, the belts look good. I think
the belts look excellent.
They look
really
great.
Do. And
I'll say this: I think the women's tag division at the NXT level is significantly better than the women's tag division at the Raw and SmackDown level. So it's a great job overall by NXT.
And Io Shirai came up to Gonzalez at the end and basically said, "You're next." So that tag team is probably not going to be around a whole lot longer. And Gonzalez, because of her size, she's going to move up fairly quick. And the title match between Finn Balor and Adam Cole,
baby,
that was a good match. That was a really good match.
Good match. I like how. I mean, it was a great wrestling match. You had the first trickle of the beginning of a four-way feud from Undisputed Era with O'Reilly showing up there at the end and not getting directly involved, not causing a DQ, but
just lurking. He was lurking.
Yeah, and then the absolute hammering he put on Adam Cole afterwards. Look, I'm going to be happy one way, Zoe, and that is I want an Undisputed Era fatal four-way. I want a fatal four-way out of this, or you just have the three of them, because Adam Cole did this big thing about, I'm in charge of the Undisputed Era. I decide when it ends and when it doesn't. I decide I'm in charge. I'd be fine with Fish O'Reilly and Roddy continuing the Undisputed Era thing without Adam Cole and just completely, repeatedly spoiling his quest to get back on top as a revenge tour. I think they're doing a great job. And by the way, if Finn Balor's not one of the best wrestlers on the planet right now, I don't know who is. That guy, everything he does looks great.
He absolutely is. The only problem I have with your scenario is I hope Finn Balor doesn't end up taking over Undisputed Era.
I don't love
because there's been an alliance there with some of the members, and I just don't want to see that happen. I would rather it be a trio, like what you're saying. And whatever happened to Bobby Fish, I don't know.
He had like a torn pec or something. He had
again. That dude's always hurt.
Yeah.
All right, we need to spend some time on NXT, but one thing from Raw before we go there: Alexa Bliss takes out a match. She blows on the match, and the ring explodes. That's all I'm saying.
It didn't.
The ring explodes.
They had some of Kane's old pyro laying around,
which exploded.
It didn't. I don't think you know the difference between an explosion and a flame.
I know what an explosion is. I also know what.
explode.
I also know what that flame feels like, having been, like 10 rows up, and it still feels hot. That's compared to what AEW did. Now, let's get to AEW. Kingston and Moxley's explanation was excellent, especially in front of a fire pit. That just made so much sense. I really like that, and how they're making fun. It's like they took, when Omega comes out and all those guys come out, they took almost the exact words of the Rob Brown defense lawyer, and that's what they used in the ring. Almost everything Rob used on the air to defend that's exactly what they did. Almost like Rob Brown has inside knowledge, again, and is in the writer's room and knew exactly which way they were going to go. But I got to tell you, there's no other way they could go. I don't believe that this was intentional. I do believe this was a botch, but this is the way you have to play it. This is the only way you save face, is by doing it this way and making fun of yourself. It's the only way you can go.
I mean, I guess we'll never know whether it was a botched explosion or not. They're never going to come out and say it, or at least not for the next 30 years until these guys in the current group start to retire and go out on their shoot sprees, as retired wrestlers are wont to do.
I believe this was real about as much as I believe that the Montreal screw job was real. And I don't believe that was real, and I don't believe this was intentional.
I'll say this. It was so expertly played off that they can get away saying we planned it the whole time. Now, I will say this, and we talked about this the other day, and I didn't say this when I was doing my defense because, objection why? Because it's devastating to my case. All right. I think it was a botch. And I think it was probably, even if you tell a great story afterwards, the harm is done in that. And you pointed this out, and I think you were accurate in doing so. There were people who tuned in to see the craziest match they've ever seen in American wrestling on mainstream television. They tuned to see an explosion. They didn't get it. And there are a lot of people who probably tuned in, saw that, thought they were getting an explosion and went, screw this, I'm out. I'm either back to only WWE or I'm not going to watch anymore. And even though I think, because Eddie Kingston might be the best mic man in all of wrestling right now because Jon Moxley is hilarious playing off of other people, because Omega and Callis did such a good job of, we took that moment from you. You wanted this, and we took it away. Moxley wanted his belt. We took it away. Eddie Kingston wanted to be looked at as a savior and a martyr. And we took everything from you. It is a great heel moment, but you probably took away an opportunity to grow a lot. Now, the people who are watching, the people who do care, the people who are either already AEW stands like me or people like Zoe who are still WWE guys but are kind of dabbling over, they might love this because it was the greatest heel explanation of a moment in a while that made perfect sense. But you got to wonder stuff. How many potential new viewers did you cost yourself in order to tell a great story to the viewers who were already on board?
I will tell you this. My wife, who doesn't really watch AEW, is still angry over it. She's like, we're not buying that again.
But did she watch last night?
No.
Because here's the thing.
Because you know why? Because she said we're not buying that again. So she's no longer interested. And this is an example of someone who does watch wrestling and is not as big of a fan as me, but is interested and watches all the WWE pay-per-views. And we agreed, even though we bought the UFC, that we would go ahead and buy AEW because I wanted to buy it for work. And so we did. And then she was just, it really bothered her. And those are the kind of people that I'm talking about. People who gave it a chance and felt like, really, that's what you gave me. You're not getting my money again. And it's unfortunate. I do have a couple more things though, about Eddie Kingston. This is a guy who came out talking about his family and everything. And now his family's gone. As far as writing goes, his family suddenly is with Matt Hardy. I think that's not good writing. I think you need closure there. When you have a faction and then suddenly the faction isn't there anymore. Do you agree or disagree with me?
I mean, I agree with you in that up until that point, it's been considered good writing. But again, I think AEW is trying to break that mold a little bit of this is how wrestling stories are told. And I think I don't have as big of an issue with it.
Okay. One last thing before we go to break.
It better be what I think it is.
And we're going to talk about the Inner Circle.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about how the fact, I love Chris Jericho's line, do you think we don't talk to each other?
Oh,
which is what, you can't help but think, a group of friends as tight as they supposedly are would actually talk to each other. But the swerve was not bad. When MJF is in the corner, nearly in tears, and then he says he's made his own faction, and then that faction comes out and beats the mess out of the Inner Circle. That wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
Not bad. It was a great segment. It was a great segment. It was he
managed to get some guys in his group that I absolutely cannot stand. So,
FTR?
Yeah, I can't stand FTR. I can't, and at least one of them have their roots in this area.
They do. They're from Asheville, right up the road.
Yeah, and so, but that may or may not have anything to do with why. I don't. We're old school. No, you're not. No, you're not. But they're not really. They're not.
No flips, just fist.
Yeah.
I love that segment for a couple of reasons. First off, just when you thought MJF was about to get his comeuppance, he shows you that no. We knew he was conniving, but we did not know how conniving. But the best part of it, and this is why I think AEW is playing long con storylines better than WWE has in a very long time. There was a moment when MGF said, I think we need a change of leadership. And then out comes Sammy Guevara, who we have not seen in a couple of weeks. And as Guevara is walking to the ring, he's telling Jericho, I got something for you to see. I got something I want you to watch. I got something, blah, blah, blah. And he goes to the clip. And as he goes to the clip, AEW, who, by the way, had terrible sound production last night. They had major issues.
I think that may be on purpose. Maybe they're making fun of Shane McMahon.
Maybe, which would have been hysterical.
Yes.
But when they go to the clip, there's a guy in the background in the audience who yells, who could have seen this coming? Very sarcastically, right? Because, yes, that's a traditional payoff. Sammy Guevara comes back. He exposes MJF. The faction beats the crap out of MJF. They leave him bloody in the ring. And that's the end of that story for the time being. And then when they have the video play and then Jericho has the Inner Circle turned back against MJF, the place just went quiet. And all of a sudden, sarcastic, funny guy in the audience didn't have a whole heck of a lot to say anymore at that point. And then when the lights went out and they came back on and it's FTR and it's Shawn Spears and Tully Blanchard's there and they go bananas whooping up on Inner Circle, you executed a beautiful face turn for the Inner Circle. You executed a beautiful turn for Sammy Guevara and got him back involved. You executed a beautiful moment for MJF, who comes across as even more of a manipulative mastermind than we thought. But the most important thing to me in that story, and this is what blows my mind, it showed that the guys in the Inner Circle are watching AEW as opposed to just being characters on it, right? In WWE, there'll be storylines where one guy says something in one segment, and then a week later, the new guy's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe you said that, and I've got the hidden footage of it. It's like, dude, it was on national television, right? Come on, Randy Orton. Alexa Bliss said that in public a week ago. You're telling me you haven't gone back and watched the tape of the show that you're on? Whereas with these guys, Jericho's going, yeah, dummy, we watched the show. We know everything you've done because we watched the show. It's just those little details. Yeah, maybe they screwed up the exploding ring, but those little details are the details that AEW works into their show that WWE does not. That makes it a better show to me right now.
It's good. It's not quite there.
We'll get you there.
Not quite there.
We'll get you there. I'm going to get you there, Lonzo. All right. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back here in just a minute. Wrap up this bad boy. Get ready for Twitter Trending Topics. Call it a Thursday. My name is Rob Brown. Lonzo is at the helm, the host of Fight Club every Thursday at 2:20. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
You're listening to the Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google Smart.
Next break, you'll have the Harley Davidson.
Perfect. Thank you.
So one of the coolest part about doing that segment is watching Drew have no clue what we're talking about. And it's almost like, have you ever been in a room or at a restaurant where there's someone speaking a foreign language, Russian or something, and you don't know what the language is, and they're having an entire conversation?
Yep.
And eventually you just don't hear it anymore. You give up trying to understand. Right. I could just see now.
Better than Diesel, who just
No,
actually goes to sleep.
That's what I was going to point out. I didn't see any eye rolls. With Diesel, there's absolute eye rolls the entire time. Anytime I was on with you and he was in the room, and there were yawns, and there was a few times I believe with all my heart he nodded off. Just put Fight Club, because there's a lot of things in that. So. Yeah. I asked Diesel about the what was it, slap boxing or whatever we were talking about yesterday.
Chest boxing.
Yeah, he said no. He would have nothing to do with that. But I was like, come on, you want to hit me, and of course he wouldn't admit to that. Which is a good move. He shouldn't admit to that. So
you can't. It's not wrestling though. It's actual boxing, gloved boxing.
Well, even with wrestling, there's pain involved. So, but those who are wrestling dissenters who believe that it's nothing but fake, believe somehow that smacking noise going across someone's chest that leaves a red mark, that didn't hurt. That's what they believe. I don't get why they believe it or how they believe it. They believe that.
I've taken one and it does.
I still want to get hit with a kendo stick, and my wife told me I'm stupid, and she's right. I just want to know how. I mean, I don't want someone going full on, hitting a home run kind of hit, but I'm just curious of what it feels like.
It's a stinging pain.
Here's what I want to compare it to. All right, in fraternity, we had a thing called pledge bowling. So the other pledges would have to get in a pyramid. And one of the pledges was the ball. Well, the pledge that's the ball gets hit by a paddle and has to roll into the other guys. Really stupid, but So I was the ball. An All-American batter had a cricket bat, and he hit me as hard as he could. And I rolled into the wall with instant tears and stares that I would like to kill this guy. And they started to yell at me, the other actives, and he said, no, let him go. Then later on, he apologized. No way a kendo stick hurts worse than that.
I am going to say, no, probably not. I am going to say this, though.
20 seconds.
I would have proudly been a non-member of that fraternity, for the record. Also, check out KC Chiefs Chad comment. The Peter Yan DQ busted an 8-fight parlay card for me. The $3 play would have paid me $490, and the DQ cost it. Dude. Ouch.
Are sold.
Dispensing real, unfiltered sports talk every weekday noon to 3. This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
All right, we got a lot going on in the world of college basketball right now. Conference championship tournaments taking place all around the country as we speak. Ohio up on Kent State, 35-20 in the MAC championship quarterfinal. Ohio State out ahead of Minnesota in the second round of the Big Ten tournament, 19-11 with 6 and some change left to play there. Florida up on Vandy early, 14-11 in the second round of the SEC tournament. In the Big 12 tournament, Baylor up 12-9 on Kansas State. That one's an interesting game. Not a lot of folks expected Kansas State to make it to the quarterfinal, but they've been playing good ball. Miami up on Georgia Tech by a point in the quarterfinal of the ACC tournament. Of course, we mentioned that Florida State Duke canceled. Duke has a coronavirus case in the program, so they are out of the tournament. FSU will receive a third-round bye and make it straight to the semifinals. Out in the Pac-12, very early, just under 5 minutes played here, 6-5 Oregon over Arizona State. A few finals have come in, 72-69. Oklahoma State upsets West Virginia in the quarterfinal of the Big Ten tournament. Drew and I were talking about this one a minute ago. The Hoyas of Georgetown knock off Villanova in the quarterfinals of the Big East, 72-71 with a buzzer beater. Speaking of buzzer beaters, a crazy one unlocks Virginia into the semifinals. The Virginia Cavaliers, the Hoos, 72-69 winners over an upstart Syracuse team that had the lead multiple times in that game, but Virginia just too much late. In the MAC, Toledo knocks off Ball State 91-89. Maryland knocks off Bubble Dreamers Michigan State in the second round of the Big Ten, 68-56. 57. South Florida knocks off Temple in the American Athletic Conference, first round 73-71. How about Mississippi State, Kentucky? All the Blue Bloods are falling. There's only Carolina left, 74-73. The Dogs knock off the Wildcats of Kentucky. Coming up later on tonight, we've got a few more big games for you. Oregon State taking on UCLA, quarterfinal of the Pac-12 tournament. Nevada and Boise State out there in the Mountain West. Butler and Creighton in the Big East. Interesting, the one there. Butler's got a good little squad. Creighton's a much better team, but it's a very Clemson, Miami setup in that one. Top 25 matchup in the quarterfinals of the Big 12 championship between Kansas and Oklahoma coming up later on tonight as well. We've also got Georgia and Missouri in the SEC tournament. North Carolina taking on Virginia. NC dropped a hundo yesterday in a blowout dub. They'll try to do the same against Virginia Tech. Now North Carolina may be the hottest team in the ACC. Penn State and Wisconsin in the Big Ten second round action at 9 o'clock tonight. We'll also see Cal and Colorado. South Carolina plays at 9 o'clock as well. Quick break. We'll come back. Twitter trending topics to wrap up the show on The Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
And going to Harley Davidson.
Perfect.
You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your phone everywhere on the radio.com app. Download the app and make ESPN Upstate a favorite for 24/7 real, unfiltered sports talk.
Harley Davidson. That name might as well just be America's motorcycles because they are Harley Davidson of the Upstate. Wants to get you on the back of a brand new ride. Why? Because the all-new 2021 models are in store now. You got to go see the store, by the way. It's an absolutely beautiful store there at 30 Chrome Drive. It is clean. It is nice. You can tell the love and the care that they put into their products, and the all-new 2021s are right there on the showroom floor. But if you're looking for something pre-owned, well, man, they got the largest pre-owned inventory in the Upstate ready for you as well. They had to build a second showroom just for their pre-owned bikes. It's an absolutely beautiful shop. They've got absolutely beautiful rigs in there. And right now, you can get in on one of these bikes for APR as low as 2.99%. They've got bikes for every type of rider, no matter what you're into, whether you're into the cafe cruisers, all the way up to the big hogs. They've got something for you. You need to get in on it right this very second. The weather is turning. It is spring. It is beautiful. And there's no better riding in the country than right here in the Upstate. So go to 30 Chrome Drive, check out the store, or check them out online and see their entire inventory at upstateharley.com. That's upstateharley.com. It's Harley Davidson of Greenville. Quick break. I'm going to leave you in the very capable hands of Lonzo for just a moment.
Go over that.
Rob and I are on the same sort of schedule that when I get ready to walk out of the room, he makes sure he walks out of the room first and hands the baton off. So, I have to take it. And so I did. Want to thank everybody for our second week, almost 2 weeks straight of doing this. Make sure you tell your friends about us being live on all the social medias. And I also want to apologize about me looking a little fuzzy. That's not me. That's Rob's internet where he is. So our internet here is magnificent. So would never do that. Also, I want to remind you, coming up in 7 minutes, it's time for the ESPN Cash Stash. And how that works is Rob will read a word. And when Rob reads the word, which will be the keyword for the 3 o'clock hour, you text that keyword to 72881. You have a chance to win $1,000. And it's cool because we get winners all the time. Why not you? Why don't you be the winner? Drew's upset. He can't be the winner. I can't be the winner, but you know what? You could be the winner if you pay attention. This contest goes on for, I think it's 6 weeks. So if you don't win today, or if you don't, and you can, each hour, you can text in the keyword. So you got a shot every hour throughout the day up until 5 o'clock, starting at 7 a.m. all the way to 5 p.m. You got a shot to win $1,000. Why not take that shot and just text in that keyword and get a chance to win? Because, $1,000 it's $1,000, man.
I would like $1,000.
So would I, but we're not eligible.
I know. It's very disappointing. Patrick Ewing said he got checked like 3 times on his way to the game for Georgetown, and they're playing in Madison Square. He said, I'm going to have to call James Dolan. He said, I thought this was my house. They should know who the hell I am. Really, Patrick Ewing's a pretty recognizable dude, man. He doesn't look
I don't
like
know. As he's gotten older, he's starting to look different, though. He doesn't look the same as he used to. You don't think so? I think he's...
No, he does not. He's still... but dude's still 6'9" and probably a solid 280. I mean, he looks like an NBA player.
Well, there is that. The fact that he's that tall might make you ponder, I wonder if this guy played here or not. And that's funny. We have something similar to that coming up in Twitter trending topics. You're teasing without even knowing that you're teasing.
Check out this audio, Zoe.
Hey, Coach Culley, you've said repeatedly the team is committed to Deshaun Watson. Is he committed to you and the team?
Yes, he is.
How do you know that?
Well, he's a Houston Texan, and again, I know that. I feel like that with the commitment that we've made to him, and I feel like that same commitment will be there with us also moving forward.
That was David Culley of the Houston Texans, who sounds exactly 0% confident that his girl's not out running around on him.
Because we want to hear something, I think sometimes we do hear something. Not hearing how he responded to the rest of the questions in the press conference, maybe he hesitates and maybe he acts like that on all of his other questions too.
20 seconds.
Stop being reasonable, Lonzo. I need drama in my life.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be the moron here, and so let me go.
That's not what the text lines ever say.
Yeah, no, that's what they said. So,
Now. And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
All right, it's time for Twitter Trending Topics, where I tell Rob what's trending and he tells us what he knows about it. It's so funny because we had a conversation about identity during the break on the Facebook and Twitter and our live stream. You should check it out if you get a chance. Tomorrow we'll be back on. So I'm going to go with the first thing trending being Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk is trending because he put up a story not too long ago about having met a kid. And Tony Hawk's a great Twitter follow if you're not following him on Twitter. But where he met a guy and talked to him and asked him, the guy asked Tony to do some tricks, and he did. And the guy didn't recognize him, and he said, "What's your name?" And he said, "Tony." And the guy said, "Oh, like Tony Hawk," and then just walked away from him, which is hilarious. But yeah, Tony Hawk's a tremendous Twitter follow.
By the way,
because he's got plenty of stories like that, and they're amazing.
Yeah, this happened again, but it was a kid this time.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, and the kid's like, "Do you skate?" He's like, "Yeah, I do from time to time." And so it kind of went the same sort of conversation. He never asked Tony his name, but he did say, "Hey, do you want to see me do some tricks?" And Tony said yes. And Tony just posted a picture of the kid on a bike at a skate park doing some tricks. I think that's very, very cool.
The kid asked him, "Are you a YouTuber?"
Yeah. All right, the next thing trending, and it's bothering me, but you didn't talk about it today, so I'm not sure you know about it. The Kansas City Chiefs.
I did see that. They have, as they continue, as most teams are, trying to get up under the cap. They have released former number 1 overall pick Eric Fisher, the left tackle. They have also released Mitchell Schwartz, one of their other offensive tackles, more of a backup role. But yeah, that's like 11. I want to say it was almost $11 million in cap space for the Chiefs. But I know that one hurts because he was a stalwart for the Chefs on the OL.
Yeah, you get hurt, you're out. Sorry, you're gone. You cost us a Super Bowl. That's basically what it looks like there.
Yep.
All right, the next and last thing trending before the keyword is Greg Olsen and Mike Davis.
Greg Olsen and Mike Davis have both signed one-day contracts, and they will retire as Carolina Panthers, which I can't think of anything more fitting for either one of those. Greg Olsen, even though he absolutely killed my team many, many times. Greg Olsen, one of my favorite tight ends to ever watch play the game. He obviously had a stint in Seattle and a stint in the Fox booth for a year, but he's out and will retire as a Carolina Panther, which is great, great news. He deserves it. Time for your $1,000 cash stash opportunity, your chance to win $1,000 in the $1,000 cash stash on ESPN Upstate. Your keyword for the 3 p.m. hour is healthy. 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 That thing that I am not. Healthy. Text that keyword to 72881. Powered by BetQL. Let BetQL's prove him a better. Download the BetQL app today. Your chance to win $1,000. Text healthy to 72881 sometime in the next hour. That's going to do it for the show. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel are up next with Offsides. For Zoe, for Drew, I'm Rob. Thanks for hanging out. This was the Rob Brown Show on ESPN
Upstate.